At
6:06.
6:06, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Sure. Mr. Sunnyberger? Here. Mr. Powers? Here. Ms. Burkmeyer?
Here.
Mr. Vinatelli?
Here.
Richards is here. Ms. Knox?
Here. Okay, we're going to start with our first candidate this evening, but before I get there, we are not live streaming. We are recording, but we are not live streaming. So the candidates in waiting do not have an advantage of knowing what the questions are, since they will all be asked the same questions. Also, it is not anticipated that there will be a vote for trustee tonight. It will likely take place January 28th.
Ms. Knox, just for formality's sake, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda for tonight.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Okay. You have that? I forgot that part.
Motion by Mr. Powers, supported by Mr. Vinatelli. You want to do a roll call on that?
Thank you.
Mr. Powers?
Yes.
Mr. Vinatelli?
Yes.
Mr. Sunnyberger?
Yes.
Ms. Burkmeyer? Mr. Richards is yes. Ms. Knox?
Yes.
There you go.
All right. Welcome, Mr. Bagan. All right. We'll
Press the button.
Yep.
You guys hear me?
Yes, that's better. You can pull it a little bit closer, probably.
All right.
Okay. So we're going to get started. I'm going to ask you questions. After each question, the board will have an opportunity to ask you follow-up questions. And then at the end, if the board has any additional questions, they will go ahead and ask. Okay.
Sounds
All
good.
right. Do you live in the Anchor Bay School District?
Yes.
Are you a registered voter?
Yes.
Why are you interested in serving on the school board?
So I've always loved this community. Grew up here, went to Anchor Bay schools. I'm now a current business owner in the area. I also serve on the New Baltimore Business Alliance. So I'm very involved. I like being involved. I like where the community is came from and where it is now. And I know that I'm going to continue to raise my family here and live here for as long as I am privileged to do so. So I would like to just continue to be an impact on the community.
Thank you. Board, do you have any follow-up questions? Okay, moving on. Describe in your own words the role of a school board member.
I think it's the role of a school board member is to be responsible with the taxpayers' money, right? See that the schools are being fiscally responsible, that resources are being allocated properly, and having a vote, and that's very important.
Thank you. Any follow-up questions, board? Hearing none. After review and discussion on significant issues, the board operates by a majority vote. When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you manage the situation and potential criticism of your position?
I've definitely always been open to criticism. I can handle it very well. It's helped me get to where I am today in life. You can't always be right. If the majority votes in a different direction, there's usually a reason for that. And maybe it's because they're more educated in the position. Maybe they have more experience with that position. It could be a number of things, but not to say that I would just not voice my opposition. I would certainly do so and let everybody know what my position is. But with that said, I think there's still a lot of room for criticism and to kind of sometimes sit back and allow those who may have experience with a specific issue, let them kind of take head on that.
Thank you. Any follow-up questions? Hearing none. At times, you will be caught between legitimately opposing points of view, and there may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you are required to uphold as a board member. How will you handle this?
I've seen it before. Like I said, I sit on the New Baltimore Business Alliance, and while to say that they don't really vote on legal issues, they certainly do sometimes test what your personal beliefs are versus your what the professional standard should be, right? So I've definitely been in that position in the past where you kind of just have to, sometimes do your own research as well, and just kind of understand that. And yeah, I would say that, it's the responsibility of somebody in this position to, again, do right by the taxpayers.
Thank you. Any follow-up questions? Hearing none. What do you perceive as the district's strengths and or weaknesses?
I think, as being a more recent graduate of the school, the strengths definitely are that, once I got to the high school level, I was certainly inspired in many different ways as to what I wanted to do. So I think there was a lot of teachers, a lot of staff, a lot of programs at the high school level that helped me make a really good decision what I wanted to do with my career, and I certainly don't regret that to this day. Since when I graduated, a lot of the programs and equipment, you could kind of see it getting to a little bit of an outdated point. But I think since I've graduated, I've seen on social media, I have younger siblings, I have children that go to this school now. I've definitely seen improvements, and seen a lot has been taken seriously, especially in by the way, one of my more passionate points of the district is the CTE programs. And I've seen a lot of improvement in that. And I'm very passionate about those programs because they did a lot for me to get where I am today. As far as weaknesses go, that would have been what I would have said, is that when I had left, that I was a little worried about the school becoming to a point where it's outdated. But I've definitely seen in recent years since I've left a lot more improvements in facilities, equipment, and programs, and have heard a lot of great things.
Thank you. Any follow-up questions?
I do have a question, Ms. Knox. So Sean, thank you for coming today. I see on your resume a number of different entrepreneurial things. You're 25 years old, correct?
Correct. Yep.
That's to me very interesting. I'm curious to know a little bit about, because it's not just one sort of business. It sounds like it's sort of like a multiple thing. You're kind of getting into the entrepreneurial space. Can you tell me a little bit about, you mentioned in the last question, CT programs got you interested in this, as well as any other factors that might have played into that for you?
Yeah. So when I began high school, I was very certain I wanted to be in law enforcement. I actually even was kind of mentored by Randy Blackburn, who was the resource officer at Middle School North at the time. I was dead set on it. I was in the Explore program for the Macomb Sheriff's Department, doing research into joining the FBI, what I needed to do to prep for that. And I began taking business classes at Anchor Bay and became extremely interested in that. And I did a lot of other CTE programs too. So I explored like construction trades. But a lot of what I did was in the business management category. And I just fell in love with it. And I had the best teachers, the best mentors that kind of pushed me in that direction and helped me even get my first career in business at Total Life Changes, which is right around the corner from here at 16, which was, arguably a more professional role for somebody my age. And so I had that position while I was still in high school, and I had teachers and mentors that continued to push me in that direction and inspire me. And they helped me make my college choice, and they helped me pick my degree path. And I totally give the credit to those programs to why I chose that path.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any others? Okay. And the final question. Identify a recent board decision that you felt strongly about and describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs, parental rights, state and federal law, staff considerations, and your personal value and beliefs to determine how to vote on the issue. That was lengthy, so I'll read it again.
Yeah. Okay.
Identify a recent board decision that you felt strongly about and describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs, parental rights, state and federal law, staff considerations, and your personal value and beliefs to determine how to vote on the issue.
One of the decisions that, and I don't know if you'll consider this recent or not, but one of the decisions I definitely felt strongly about was the armed security in the schools. I think that there's a lot of different avenues, many of them being emotional, as far as the decision to bring armed security into the schools. Some people don't feel comfortable with firearms around their children. Others are terrified of never seeing their children again after sending them to school, especially in a community like this where people say it can never happen, but then we saw it happen very closely in Oxford, and I think that got really too close for comfort for people. But I think the ultimate decision factor in that decision is definitely student safety, right? Yeah, absolutely. It's a financial decision too. And I don't know offhand what that financial decision looked like in numbers, but you can't put a price on safety, especially the safety of our students, the minors in our community. And I believe that most people, when you pose it to them in that regard, would have to agree, right? And so, not too familiar with the legality from the state and federal level. From what I know, everybody that is currently serving as armed security is former military or police. I believe that's the only way you can carry in a school at this point. Again, not too familiar, but I think that kind of just speaks for itself.
Okay. And we spend just over $1 million a year
Okay,
on
yep.
security. All right. Are there any additional questions?
If it's all right, I'd like to jump out and ask another question too.
Yeah, go for it.
So you mentioned you're not familiar with state and federal laws. There are courses and books you can read as a school board member to get yourself familiarized with those. Ms. Knox and I have gotten some kind of certificate, I forgot the, whatever.
Something.
It's something, but it's several hours, at least tens of hours worth of information. The book that Mr. Jankowski has in office, I think it's about 200 pages. Would you have time to commit to read through and get that experience, that sort of knowledge from those resources?
Absolutely. And when I said that, I was speaking specifically as far as who can
Legality.
carry in a school, but yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
I do have
I have one question.
Ms. Berkmeyer?
I have one question. So I don't know if this is working well. Has anyone from Anchor Bay or MISD leadership encouraged or asked you to apply for the board?
No.
Okay, thank you.
I do have a question also. Thank you for coming tonight. Can you tell me any involvement or events that you've attended within the last year here at Anchor Bay?
Within the school district?
I'm sorry, yes, within the school.
A couple of high school football games, and I did recently attend the most recent high school graduation. Some of the vocal arts programs, I was part of the vocal arts program as another thing I was very passionate about. So every now and then, if I can, go and visit there.
Sure. Great, thank you.
Okay, I think we are done, but what I wanted to make clear, you were probably in the other room, is we're live streaming, or we're not live streaming,
Okay.
but it is being recorded, so the candidates that are waiting don't have an advantage of knowing what the questions are. And it is not anticipated that there will be a vote tonight,
Okay.
and we expect to do that January 28th.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, space.
Do you have the questions in front of you as well, so you can read along?
I do.
I do want to let you know, we are not live streaming, but we are recording.
Sure.
That's so the other candidates don't have an unfair advantage.
Yep.
And it is not anticipated that there will be a vote tonight. Not out of the question, but not anticipated.
Sure.
And we would expect to vote January 28th.
Okay.
So welcome. Thank you for
Thank
joining
you.
us. First question, do you live in the Anchor Bay School District?
I do. Yes.
Are you a registered voter?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Why are you interested in serving on the school board?
I am interested in bringing the community together a little bit more. I believe that it's super important that a parent in the community who is involved in the community
has a voice for other community members as well. And the most important is the children. I lost my son in July of 2025, and I have noticed a tremendous need to have a few more resources available to the children when they're experiencing things like this. And with the connections I have through my loss and everything that I've been through, I believe it would benefit the school systems with resources and being able to bring those things to the schools to help the children, to help the community. I've noticed with, let's say, high school concessions, I was the only one that signed up today. And I don't even have a kid in high school. And bringing community together, even for just those purposes, to bring community together for these kids is the number one most important. And I think with the things that I have learned, bringing something different, a different voice, a different perspective, maybe with some of these children would be a huge benefit.
Thank you. Are there any follow-up questions? Okay. Describe in your own words the role of a school board member.
A school board member is there for budgets, for, what do I say? Budgets, curriculum, community, schools, safety. I'm that horrible test taker. Safety is, safety obviously, and meetings like this.
Any follow-up questions? Okay, after review and discussion on significant issues, the board operates by a majority vote.
Mhm.
When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you manage the situation and potential criticism of your position?
Calm and collective. I work for my dad. I don't know if any of you have ever worked for a parent. It's not easy. Yes, we are in sales for defense, aerospace, automotive companies. So we deal with a lot of criticism. A level head is very important. Finding a resolution in a common, I'm looking for a specific word, finding a resolution calmly, respectfully, peacefully. I don't believe in yelling. I don't believe in fighting. That's the beauty of America. Everyone has different opinions. And finding a solution collectively and maturely, respectfully is, I think, the most important.
Any follow-up questions? At times, you will be caught between legitimately opposing points of view, and there may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you are required to uphold as a board member. How will you handle this? I'll repeat it while you're thinking.
No, you're fine.
You
Yeah.
good? Okay.
There are policies and laws for a reason. As much as sometimes I may not agree with them, it's the policy and law is there for a reason. And I have to respect that as a school board member. If I were to get the position, there are difficult decisions every day in life. Some things I agree with, some things I don't. But I do believe that there are policies, procedures, and laws for a reason. And respecting that is important.
Thank you. Any follow-up? Okay. What do you perceive as the district's strengths and weaknesses?
Weakness, I would say communication with parents, with students. I think communication is key to a lot of things. I think that is one weakness. Strength, I would say community.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
What was the strength?
Community, bringing community together, making sure the kids are taken care of, are safe. And knowing that you belong in a district where everyone is, I feel like Anchor Bay is very close knit. And I believe that it is a big portion to you guys. There's I believe that a lot of that is because of you guys. Truly. You're the voice.
Thank you. Any follow-up? Okay, hearing none, we have our final question.
Sure.
Identify a recent board decision that you felt strongly about and describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs, parental rights, state and federal law, staff considerations, and your personal values and beliefs to determine how to vote on the issues.
So I actually came and spoke in front of the board recently for a student that had brought THC gummies to the bus stop, and 2 girls had eaten them. And she had no history of disciplinary action, had good attendance, good grades. She had remorse for her situation. And they wanted to expel her. And I came and spoke because I believe that children, and I said this at the board meeting, and I'm going to try not to cry when I say it. It's very close to me. Children Children don't always express things in the way that we think they should. The emotional instability at those ages. And while I disagreed with what she did, I looked at every aspect of the situation. And I feel like while looking and having maybe a different opinion than others, it's still, you have to look at every part of a situation and gather all the information before an informed decision or a vote is made. And parental rights as well. That brings up that her mom was there as well. Law had to be taken into consideration with that because of the THC gummies. I mean, there were every factor from this question in that whole entire situation, but I think taking that situation as a whole as well, everything relating to it, her history and things like that, allowed every one of you to make an informed decision on whether she was allowed back into Anchor Bay or not. And I think that that's important, in every aspect of it into consideration.
Okay, thank you.
you.
Follow-up questions, additional questions? Ms. Berkmeyer?
Has anyone from Anchor Bay or MISD leadership encouraged or asked you to apply?
I'm sorry?
Did anybody from Anchor Bay or MISD leadership encourage or ask you to apply for this position?
No, it was me.
I do have one question, and I know you mentioned that you're already coming from concessions, so thank you for
Yeah,
doing that.
absolutely.
But can you also tell me of any involvement or any events that you've attended within the last year within the Anchor Bay School District?
Actually, they just all the wrestling meets, most of them. They just did a dedication ceremony to my son at a wrestling meet on the 7th. I did the cheer competition we went to. I still am even though my son is not in the high school, no. I am still very much involved in all of these kids' lives. They come over to my house for dinners. I make sure that I volunteer at concessions to continue to stay a part of the Anchor Bay community in a positive way. I do have a daughter at Lottie who's in 1st grade. But I don't have any kids older than that. My son obviously was going into the high school, but I very much try to stay. I've volunteered 6, 8 times, I think, for concessions, whatever it be. But yes, I try to make every wrestling meet, the dedicated wrestling tournament. I try to support wherever I can
Thank you.
and stay involved.
Are there any other questions? Okay.
Sorry, just not a question, just a comment. I remember you well from that meeting
Thank you.
and your advocacy for that student and now you're here tonight to, try to advocate further for students in the community by wanting to be on the school board and, volunteering to work concessions. And it's obvious that you're doing everything you possibly can to turn your tragic loss into something that not only benefits you, but the community. I just want to tell you that I think that's quite remarkable and thank you.
Appreciate that. We are starting a nonprofit, which is working closely with the Chesterfield Library. And I hope even the resources that I can gather from that nonprofit that we're starting in my son's honor will also help Anchor Bay schools.
If you don't mind, can you just keep us in the loop of that? So those of us that would want to be involved can be.
Absolutely. 1,000,000%. Yep.
All
Yep.
right.
If you can talk to Breck, the deputy director at the library, sent a recommendation letter in, and her and I have been working very closely as well. And I'd like to get into the New Baltimore Library if anyone knows anyone over there.
Mhm.
Please.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Bells.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
We appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So ready?
We good?
Okay, Ms. Berglund, welcome. We are not live streaming tonight, but we are recording, and that's so the other candidates don't have an unfair advantage. And it is not anticipated that there will be a vote tonight. There could be a vote, but it's not anticipated that there will be. And if not, it'll be done on January 28th. So first question, do you live in the Anchor Bay School District?
Yes, I do.
Are you a registered voter?
Yes, I am.
Why are you interested in serving on the school board?
Well, until I came tonight and there's like 8 million people in there wanting to take the seat and help out. I thought I said, well, I'll go over there and I'll help because I would like to get my foot back in there for Anchor Bay. As you know, I don't know if you know, but I worked in Anchor Bay for 50 years. I was a teacher for 30 and I was a principal for about 20. So I just, all my family, the family that I have is in California and I see them a couple times a year. And I go out there a couple times and I thought, I know what I can do with all this extra time I have. And I thought I have a great deal of experience and I know Anchor Bay. Even I'm in there. 2 of the people in there are my former students, for heaven's sakes. I just would like to help and I would love to see what it's like. And my husband also was on the school board when our daughter went to Anchor Bay Schools. He was on for 2 terms. And I sort of know the routine of what you do and how many times you meet and the things you have the close sessions and I know about school, especially being a principal, because when I was a teacher, I used to think, I don't need a principal. What do they do anyhow? They're always in the office or whatever, because I didn't need anyone to help me with discipline or anything. But when I became a principal, there's like a million things you don't even think about. So I just feel that I've got a great deal of experience. I would love to be still connected to Anchor Bay. And I guess that's it.
Thank you. Are there any follow-up questions? Okay. Next question. Describe in your own words the role of a school board member.
Well, I think the role of a school board member is to make sure that when you go through the selections of, a superintendent or the assistant superintendent, like I was on the committee that interviewed Mr. Todd. And, but I also know that it shouldn't be that you are going above the superintendent or whatever. You are selecting the superintendent and the assistant that you have belief in them that they can run. And I don't think you should be going through without them involved. going through personal things, going to buildings. And I mean, you're supposed to go to buildings and visit and see what's going on, but I think you need to help with the decisions that you make for the district, and go through the superintendent that you've selected, someone that you think is knowledgeable. And even I've listened to some of the board meetings, and I've been going to board meetings for years, especially being a principal in that. And there are so many people involved, like when you have the finance person, they are so knowledgeable. Like I wouldn't be able to do half. I majored in math and I can't even think about the things that they do. And like the people that do maintenance, you are selecting people that can handle those jobs. So I don't think you should micromanage. I think you should discuss things, certainly, if things aren't going right. And like all the board meetings, I listened to some that were Anchor Bay's, and I've been to a lot of them. And it's just that you depend on those people that you hire. And when there is a problem, that's when you get together and try to fix it.
Thank you. Is there any follow-up? Okay, next question. After review and discussion on significant issues, the board operates by a majority vote. When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you manage the situation and potential criticism of your position?
Well, if I have a belief of something, like even watching the school board meetings, it's not always a unanimous vote, and those people have a right for their opinion. They were voted into those positions because of their ideas and their beliefs, and they certainly have that right. And if they didn't agree with me and I'm like the only one that didn't agree with it, it's just, that's how it goes. The majority votes.
Thank you. Any follow-up? At times, you will be caught between legitimately opposing points of view, and there may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you are required to uphold as a board member. How will you handle this?
I'm not quite sure. It was
The
almost,
questions are also in front of you. It's number 6.
Oh.
Sometimes it's easier to read it but I'll read it again. At times, you will be caught between legitimately opposing points of view, and there may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you are required to uphold as a board member. How will you handle this?
well, if there's a law about it, and your personal view is different than that, it has to go with the law. And you would have to do what you're supposed to do. That's what you were elected for. And my personal view may be a little different than anybody else's, but you still have to follow.
What do you perceive as the district's strengths and weaknesses?
Well, you're probably talking to the wrong person. I love Anchor Bay. In fact, when I met the superintendent for the first time, and I had already retired, I told him that I own Anchor Bay because I've been here so long. But I think, I don't know if it's a weakness, but I think one of the, certainly the strengths that we have is that we have been almost the entire time, I don't know about right this second, but we have always been a school district that ran on very little compared to even in Macomb County, the money that they give per student. And we do an excellent job. I think when I had my school, Lottie, I have such wonderful teachers and staff that it's all about making sure that we do a good job no matter what we have, whether we have a lot of different, equipment like other school districts or we don't. I just think we've always worked on a dime, and it's dedication. It's people, we have wonderful people, even your, your custodians and that. I have a custodian that keeps rating me, the one that I had at Lottie. And, he'll come even to my house and help me out and do things. They're just wonderful people. And I'm not just saying that because I worked here so long, or even Tim over there on your technology. I will write him a little note. Could you, my computer at home isn't quite working. Well, he will come. That's definitely our strength here. Dedication, people are very knowledgeable. And even when I've listened to Todd on some of the board meetings, he's so knowledgeable and such confidence. So, and our weakness, I don't know if we have any, other than, I can't even think of a weakness. And we moved here, my husband and I moved here so our daughter could go to Anchor Bay School. She started in first grade and graduated. She was the student representative on the Board of Education her senior year. So I can't even think of a weakness.
Thank you. Any follow-up to that? Okay. Identify a recent board decision that you felt strongly about and describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs, parental rights, state and federal law, staff considerations, and your personal values and beliefs to determine how to vote on the issue.
Well, one of the things the only thing I can think of real quickly here is when they went for the bond, some of the things I wasn't real crazy about. I had already retired though. And it was about making the mega elementary schools, making them huge. And I just felt that wasn't the right thing to do. And, but I wasn't in the school district anymore. And I just felt that maybe there's good reasons for it. But I always felt like Lottie Schmidt was like a wonderful size. Like we'd have like 350 to 400 kids. Sometimes we had a little more because at one time we had all-day kindergarten at just a couple of the buildings, and mine happened to be one. But it was like a perfect fit. And to me, when the buildings get too large and you only have the one principal in that building, I think those type of things, not that they get out of hand or anything like that, but you don't have that personal contact with all those kids. Like sometimes you can practically know all the kids in a building that have 350 kids. You have like 1,000 kids, it's going to be hard, and you don't have that connection with them. Like my daughter right now is in a building that's got like 800 kids, but their elementary goes all the way now up to 8th grade. I think that's too many kids in one building. So that is something that I felt strongly about when I heard that they were doing it. But, and I even when they talk about, sometimes they have discussed about, not recently, but all year round school. I think kids need to be kids too, and they need to, get out there and have that summer. Because if you remember when you were a kid, the summer would come and it felt like you were there. The summer lasted forever. So, but anyways, the only one really is about the bond and making those megas. And I don't think you're doing that now anyway, because I think that's backed, and I was happy to hear that there those little plans, and I know that once you make a bond, you have to follow. So I even got the information from the bond because I wanted to see what it said on there, and I was glad that it wasn't so specific that it had to be that, because I'd rather have the smaller schools, not a mega elementary. I know I go on and on.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Do we have any additional questions? Ms. Burkmeyer?
Has anyone from Anchor Bay or the MISD leadership encouraged or asked you to apply for the board?
I'm sorry.
This mic is not great.
That's not great.
Is any? That better? Yeah. Has anyone from Anchor Bay or the MISD leadership encouraged or asked you to apply for the board?
No one encouraged me to do this, but in the past, people, because I always used to say, when I retire, I'm going to run for school board because I wanted to still be connected. But they have encouraged me to run for school board or something when I retire. And at first, when I first retired, my husband was in assisted living, so I became his advocate, and he passed away 2 years after I retired. So it was, that was my main interest then, but I always thought about it, and I thought I would like to be still part of that. But as far as like coming for this tonight, when I heard that there was an opening, I thought, well, this would be my chance to see what it's like to actually be on it. I didn't, like I said at the beginning, I didn't think there would be all these people.
We didn't either. Ask Mr. Powers.
And the couple of them I said are my students, they would do a wonderful job. I didn't know that.
Mr. Richards?
Can you tell me about any involvement or events that you've attended within the last year within the Anchor Bay School District?
What, excuse me?
Can you tell me any events that you've attended or any involvement that you've attended within the Anchor Bay School District within the last year?
Well, I know I just donated to the band, because band is like one of my things. And I wasn't able to go to the dinner, but I gave the money and stuff for that. And then there's a couple, I don't know if they were, I don't remember if they were soccer or something, and they were selling those things, because I have friends that still have grandchildren in the district, and I, do those type of things with them.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Berglund, thank you for your time today.
Okay.
Again, it's not anticipated that we will vote tonight, but we will vote on the 28th.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Okay, we have Mr. French here.
Yes,
Welcome.
thank you.
You have the questions in front of you as well, but I'm going to read them out loud just
Sure.
in case you want to take a look. Thank you for coming. We are not live streamed tonight. We are recording, but we are not live streaming so that candidates in waiting do not have an unfair advantage. And it is anticipated that there will be no vote tonight, but rather we will vote on January 28th.
Okay.
Doesn't mean we won't vote tonight, but we're not anticipating it. So we will get started with our questions. Question 1, do you live in the Anchor Bay School District?
I do, yes.
Are you a registered voter?
I am, yes.
Why are you interested in serving on the school board?
Because it's the right thing to do, I think. I've spent a long time trying to figure out what I wanted to do in life. And it was only a few years ago that I decided on government as my passion, essentially. And well, I'm not a big fan of elections and electioneering. I do have a soft spot for actual governance. And when somebody sent me that y'all needed somebody, I asked them, do you think I'm qualified? And they told me that I was beyond qualified. I said, well, thank you. I hope they think so too. I want to serve because from what I can see in front of me, you all don't have anyone like me on your board. And I think it's essential to have a well-rounded board. I think that it's essential to have all disciplines, all viewpoints. And I think regardless if you have wheels or not, I think that um, to look at the other candidates that I saw, you will see a lot of people that are like you. You'll see a lot of people who are twice my age. I saw one person who was younger than me. Um, you'll see a lot of people with our skin tone. I think that I'm the unique choice and I'm the right choice because, um, well, I don't want to hype myself up. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, I'm,
You're fine. This process is a little difficult, so take your
Yeah.
time.
it's, the idea is that I want to be the person who fights for the little guy. I don't want to be the person that you're all gonna love because, to be honest, I have a tendency to butt heads with the big guys, so to speak. I want to be the person that you begrudgingly respect. And I want to make this place better.
Thank you. Are there any follow-up questions
Just-
to that?
Tyler, would it bother you if I moved your microphone up
No,
onto your
it's-
tray so we can hear you a little
Yeah.
better? Okay.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
Want to do something that would cause
more
trouble than good.
go ahead.
Is that okay there?
Yeah, you can even
Okay.
point it down if you need.
Point down a little bit?
Yeah.
Let me go outside.
Perfect.
thank you.
All right.
I'll try to speak up.
Am I on 4 or 5? Okay. Describe in your own words the role of a school board member.
I think that it would probably be to keep people honest, to hold people accountable. I'll be honest, I purposefully didn't research the intricacies of school government because I don't think that's, no, anybody can Google it. But I think for me, it's a moral position, and I think it's a tactical position. We're the bridge between the citizen and the school, and we have to be the one that people can trust. We, even if I'm appointed and not elected, I would behave like I'm elected and behave like I'm beholden to the people who would have elected me, not that I'm beholden to you all for choosing me.
Thank you. Next question. After review, I'm sorry, did anyone have any follow-up? Okay. After review and discussion on significant issues, the board operates by a majority vote. When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you manage the situation and potential criticism of your position?
I think that if the vote came through, even if it was 6-1, I probably wouldn't say that I was wrong. What I would do is probably say that I'm going to fight to ensure that I do what we all voted on. I would even if I didn't believe in what we voted on, I would ensure that I put all of my charisma, all of my training that I'm sure I'll find somewhere into accomplishing the board's desires. And as for criticism itself, um, I like to think I'm humble, and I really don't feel like I would take it too poorly. I think I would say, oh, well, I lost. And if I do my job right, the thing that we're voting on will be something that we can all support in general. You know, the time to whine isn't after you've lost. The time is when you're in committee and you need to convince one another that this thing we're doing is right, we're wrong, we're over budget, we're under budget, or what have you. You know, the votes are, if I'm unhappy with the vote, it means that I haven't properly um, ensured the policy was written properly. You know, I need to worry about it beforehand. My position is almost moot. It's whether or not I took the time to edit whatever we needed to edit to make sure I was satisfied and we were all at least begrudgingly satisfied with what we put through.
Thank you. Any follow-up? Okay. At times, you will be caught between legitimately opposing points of view. And there may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you are required to uphold as a board member. How will you handle this?
Okay. When I don't know if you looked at my resume or my letter at all, but I spent time in student government when I lived in Pennsylvania. And while our time was cut short because of COVID, um, I spent all of my time there on a bylaws revision. Um, I spent lots of midnight oil bickering with my vice president. I wasn't the president, but with the vice president who wanted desperately to get this done. And I said, I'll do it. And she said, great. And then he decided to critique me every bit of the way. But at the end of the day, um, he and I became great friends. He was one of my groomsmen at my wedding, despite the fact that professionally we did not agree. He was very not politically conservative, but he was very unwilling to push for things, and I was seen as the firebrand, I guess. And he and I managed to always find something that was uh, good for both of us. And when it comes to, it says, you know, my personal point of view, like I said, it's basically moot. You know, I don't have that ego. I don't have that, how dare you not agree with me? I have, you need to do what you're elected to do. That's uphold the laws, that's write the laws, and that's ensure that even if you're wrong, you make sure the children in your district are safe, are fed, have good faculty. You know, it's not about ego.
Okay, thank you. Any follow-up? All right. What do you perceive as the district's strengths and weaknesses?
this is probably my biggest weakness because I haven't been a student here for a while now, and I'm not a faculty member. But I can say that um, when I suppose I'll pivot to what I said earlier in that there's nobody here that looks like me. And so the district's biggest weakness is probably the board's biggest weakness, which is that at some point you're going to be caught in a headline, and that headline is probably going to be embarrassing. And it's going to say something like, X student didn't get what they deserved because the board didn't think of it. And I want to be, again, that person who can save us all from the embarrassment and whatever else comes out of, well, there not being enough wheels on the board, so to speak.
Any follow-up to that? Okay, thank you. Next and final question, and then we'll go to the board for their questions. Identify a recent board decision that you felt strongly about and describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs, parental rights, state and federal law, staff considerations, and your personal values and beliefs to determine how to vote on the issue.
I don't have all of the details because I couldn't find a whole lot of documentation on it. But I saw, I think there was a vote on, um, it was on something that required you to release some legal protections. And if you had taken the state or the federal money, that you would lose some autonomy. I think that's what it was. And uh, I am a firm believer in local government. I'm a firm believer in us all having our say and not having people above us tell us what's best for us. Um, Even if that means that we need to do more with less, even if that means that we make powerful enemies. Our job isn't to make the state look good. Our job isn't to make the federal government happy that they were able to check a box. Our responsibility is to our students. And when it comes to my personal beliefs, my personal value, I have a feeling that it is not very difficult to reconcile doing the right thing. You can always do more with less. You can always find a workaround. You can always do something else other than give up your rights. And I'm sure that there will be times where we have to look parents in the eye and say that, you know, we did the right thing, even if you can't see the full picture. And that might be hard for a parent to hear, but I would rather vote my conscience than vote to make somebody smile that we've had a couple extra bucks for whatever we need a couple extra bucks for.
Okay, thank you. We're going to go to some board questions now. Ms. Burkmeyer?
Has anyone from Anchor Bay or the MISD leadership encouraged or asked for you to apply for the board
Does anybody from Anchor Bay or the MASD?
in leadership?
No. I had it recommended to me by my old parapro.
Mr. Richards?
Can you tell me about any involvement or events that you've attended within the last year within the Anchor Bay School District?
No, I tend to keep pretty low profile lately, only because in July I had a massive surgery that I was preparing for a long time. I had to get my kidney reconstructed, so I didn't have a whole lot of time, and then June my flight anyway. No, I haven't attended much. I've been busy. I hope to be busy here.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none. Thank you, Mr. French, for your time today. We appreciate you coming in. Once again, this has not been live streamed, but it has been recorded, and we do not anticipate there being a vote tonight, but definitely on January 28th.
Yeah, grab the door.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Am I saying that correctly?
press it to talk, or can you guys hear me?
No, it's on.
Okay.
Yeah, move it closer to you, and it's very much directional. Now it's off. Green is go.
Okay, there we go. Thank you for having me.
And your name is pronounced Kansky, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we're going to get started. Tim, are we ready? Okay. This is not being live streamed, so that candidates in waiting do not have an unfair advantage, but it is being recorded. It's not anticipated that there will be a vote tonight, but definitely January 28th. So our first question is, do you live in the Anchor Bay School District?
Yes, I live across from Great Oaks.
Okay. Are you a registered voter?
I am, yes. I'm 18 of 8.
Why are you interested in serving on the school board?
Because I love Anchor Bay a lot. I've been going here my whole life, and I think I'd be a good candidate. I'd be good because I see the day to day. Yeah, only some of my term would be during the school year, but that's still a third of the time. And I think I could provide insight as a student who understands how kids think and who sees them every day.
Do we have any follow-up?
Just to clarify, you're a senior now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Describe in your own words the role of a school board member. And I'm sorry, to your right there is the list of, nope, on your desk. Yeah, that's the questions I'm asking you if you wanted
okay.
to read them for yourself. But describe in your own words the role of a school board member.
I think the school board's goal is really to represent the interests of the big three: students, parents, and teachers, and try to bridge all of them and try to bridge different communities, different people together. Because Anchor Bay specifically, it's lots of different communities being pulled together. So we need to unite everyone and give the best interest for everyone. Make sure students feel represented, teachers feel represented, and parents as well, because they're nervous when their kids are at school all day.
Thank you. Any follow-up? All right. Next question. After review and discussion on significant issues, the board operates by a majority vote. When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you manage the situation and potential criticism of your position?
I would try to debate as respectfully as possible. Obviously, I can't convince everyone, but I just try to give my own thoughts. And then not everything goes my way. So if it didn't go my way, I just move on.
Any follow-up? All right. At times, you will be caught between legitimately opposing points of view, and there may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you are required to uphold as a board member. How will you handle this?
I will try to think, if I'm a student, well, I am a student, but what would I think about this policy? If I'm a parent, what would I think about this policy? And if I'm a teacher, what would I think about this policy? And then see how best to go from there. Does that make sense?
Yes. Any follow-up? Okay. What do you perceive as the district's strengths and weaknesses?
Strengths, like I said, we pull from a lot of different people. High school spirit. People love Anchor Bay. We're well funded. Weaknesses, I think sometimes there can be a lack of communication from the leadership. I think sometimes there's a bit of a disconnect between students, parents, and teachers. I think that can sometimes be a problem, and that we should work to bridge that.
Okay. Are there any follow-up?
Wait, can I add something to that?
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
especially in the modern day, obviously kids are always disconnected from their parents, but in the modern day, it's more approaching than ever. And I think we're starting to see a bit of a gap between students.
Any follow-up? Okay, final question, and then we'll go on to some board member questions. Identify a recent board decision that you felt strongly about and describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs, parental rights, state and federal law, staff considerations, and your personal values and beliefs to determine how to vote on the issue.
Let's do the big one, phone ban. Community concerns. Obviously, phones were a huge problem in school. Parents don't want their kids just be distracted all day long, but they also want to have access to them. Students, at the end of the day, they want free time on their phone, but they also don't want other kids to be on their phone while they're trying to learn. And obviously, teachers had a different phone policy for each class, so it's hard to control all that. There wasn't really like a firm phone policy like there is now. Student needs, I already talked about states and federal law. They just, I saw this a few days ago. They actually did a phone ban. So now we're in consideration with that. Talk about staff. Personal value and beliefs. Obviously, I'm a student, so I like going on my phone, but I can see that, yeah, they were out of control. There needs to be a more regulated policy.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to have a question from Ms. Berkmeyer.
Has anyone from Anchor Bay or MISD leadership encouraged or asked you to apply for the board?
This was entirely my own decision.
And Mr. Richards.
With you being a student, this should be an interesting after.
Everyone gets asked the same question. This is going to be an easy one for you.
Can you tell me about any involvement or events that you've attended in the last year within the Anchor Bay School District? You don't have to do 100. 4 or 5 is fine.
Okay. Football games, basketball games, DECA, Link Crew. I started a mental health club. I think those are the main ones in the last year.
Thank you.
Just do a quick note here. You probably spend more time here than anybody. And that is all the
I
questions.
just have one quick.
Oh, I'm
please.
sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Can you just clarify, do you have any plans in the fall in terms of the next journey in your academic career that would create any logistical issues with you being on the board? Say, oh, I'm going to be off at Harvard, so how am I going to come back to board meetings? Something like that.
Oh yeah, I actually wanted to ask about that. So I plan on going to Michigan State. Would it be okay to call in? Obviously, I'd be a freshman. Freshmen aren't allowed cars. And I wouldn't like come all the way back here for our board meeting on Tuesday. You know, I wouldn't want to interrupt my studies as a freshman to come. No offense.
None taken.
Take it. All right, Mr. Kansky, did you have a
I
question?
did have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. They're all having questions
That's all
now.
right. I'll raise my hand next time. I
Oh.
apologize. Blake, love the enthusiasm. I'd say of all the candidates, you're probably the most energetic. It's just what I've seen so far. You come with a lot of energy. So you're a senior in high school, right? What made you want to try out for the board? I mean, there's plenty of ways to get your voice heard. Why would you want to be a board member? I know we already asked this question, but I think that was more of like the metaphorical, like, what's your purpose for this? Like, I'm talking about you personally. Like, why would you want to get involved in this way and not some other way?
I understand what you're saying. So I've been going to Anchor Bay my whole life. Recently, I've seen some things that I want to change and influence. And I think I'd be a good candidate to see just help you understand how students think, how they act, and really see just to influence something before I go. What other methods would you consider if not this? I'm curious.
Well, there's a number of ways. Student Congress, for example. I mean, you're going up to college. There's plenty of organizations you could get involved with, like student government type organizations up at Michigan State. There's really a whole slew of things. This is local office, but there are plenty other local offices that you could apply to as well. I'm just kind of curious to see where your thought process was.
Well, because I care about Anchor Bay a lot, and the position said only temporary, so it wasn't like I'd be throwing my whole life away. I could just influence Anchor Bay for a bit, give some good input in, and then in the fall I could join student government at Michigan State, but I thought this would be a good starting point.
Thank you.
6 years is a lifetime. That's how long a term is. Okay, well, if there are, Mr. Sonnenberger, do you have any questions? Okay, hearing nothing else, we thank you for your time today, Mr. Kansky. And like I said, we will probably not vote tonight, but definitely on January 28th. We appreciate you coming out.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Wonderful. Welcome. Wanted to let you know we are not live streaming, but we are recording. We're not live streaming, so the other candidates don't have an unfair advantage. And it is not anticipated that there will be a vote tonight. However, there will be a vote on January 28th. We could vote tonight, probably not.
Okay.
All right. Do you, you have the questions in front of you as well. Do you live in the Anchor Bay School District?
I do.
Okay, are you a registered voter?
I am.
All right. Why are you interested in serving on the school board?
Well, I do have an interest in public education. I work for the Macomb Intermediate School District currently. I've been there for about 17 years. My daughter is a graduate of Anchor Bay High School, and she is also an educator. I just believe passionately in public education. And I've recently finished the second of my graduate degrees, and so I find myself having more time than I have had. And I have a serious interest in being active in the community and helping to serve the students and their families in some way that leads to positive change.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any follow-up questions? All right. Describe in your own words the role of a school board member.
So, as I understand it, a school board's primary function is to set school policy and to select superintendents. I, however, have a background in dispute resolution as well as public administration, and so I'm all about the intersection of those two interests, like collaborative dialogue and supportive systems. So that's my interest, is in, in helping and in serving in that way. And I think that public services is just very critical.
Any follow-up? Okay. After review and discussion on significant issues, the board operates by a majority vote. When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you manage the situation and potential criticism of your position?
So I think, that goes to the heart of who I am. Again, it's collaborative work. And I believe that, we all can learn from each other. We all can benefit from new perspectives. So I would definitely be able to understand someone's criticism of my position or disagreement. I think that having a forum where you can have give and take and you can discuss things, maybe I would grow or learn or move in a different direction, or maybe not. So I think that it's all about the cooperation.
Thank you. Any follow-up? At times, you will be caught between legitimately opposing points of view, and there may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you are required to uphold as a board member. How will you handle this?
So I can speak to that by looking at, I'm a certified civil court mediator, and I've done volunteer mediation. So I've always thought about the position of neutrality, the feasibility of it, that is. And I think that I know what my beliefs are and what guides me. However, I do understand that that might be not in keeping with this district or this system that I'm in. And so I am able to put that aside and to be, neutral as to my positions, but, to think about outcomes. And so that's what I would tend to focus on.
Any follow-up? Okay. What do you perceive as the district's strengths and weaknesses?
I in preparation for this, I've gone back and looked at a couple of the school board meetings to familiarize myself with the issues that you're dealing with. I also, I'm a booster of the district, obviously. My daughter started here at elementary, and I involved myself with the PTO groups, and I actually, when she was in middle school, sat on a parent advisory committee with the then principal. So I guess I believe that, a strength is the mission statement is to graduate, fully developed and articulated students. Um, I would say, I'm not familiar enough to address a possible weakness. Um, I just think that in any organization, communication is always key. And so I would be interested in knowing um, that the district is a place where people feel like they can be heard, and, you know, working to help realize that objective.
Thank you. Any follow-up? Bonnie Berger?
Out of all of the issues that you came across when you were taking a look at us, which issue intrigued you the most from a policy perspective, not necessarily personal opinion, but wow, that was an interesting issue.
You know, I have an interest in, right now, what I do for the MISD is I work with educators, and I track special education credentials for special ed personnel in Macomb County. And so I have a chance to talk with a lot of educators. And one thing that that stands out for me is that educators feel quite pressured. I'm also concerned about educators leaving the field. And so my interests lie in, again, providing support. Of the school board's meetings that I did watch, I felt that you worked together pretty cohesively as a group. And I noticed that in last month's meeting, there was a discussion about the 33 AA funding. And I kind of felt some sympathy for the people who were talking about that, because it's a very complicated issue. Do you give up your autonomy to get this funding? And then I think that there was a feeling that kind of someone went ahead and opted in. I understood the reason why that happened, but I just thought that the way that it was handled was very professional. And so it seems to me to bode well for the whole group. And I think that, that the feelings, everyone here seems to be for the students, which is important to me.
Mr. Powers, did you have a question? No? Okay. All right. Final question, which you actually kind of already answered probably. Identify a recent board decision that you felt strongly about and describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs, parental rights, state and federal law, staff considerations, and your personal values and beliefs to determine how to vote on the issue.
So I also listened to the discussion from the superintendent about the changes that are happening with the bond proposal, which I was very happy to vote for. And so I noticed that you have you're piloting a program for 3-year-olds, and you also are moving students. It's interesting to me that the 5th and 6th graders are over at Middle School South, where my daughter went, and the 6th and 7th grader, or 7th and 8th graders, excuse me, are over at South. And so I like that, because one of the things that I realized was that we were kind of at Middle School South, was there was a great big discrepancy between the kids that went to South and the kids that went to North. And it came right down to, unfortunately, socioeconomic factors. And so I like the notion that there's a mix now of students, being exposed to different people or different, there's a nice mix. And so I think that it's been my own experience throughout my daughter's education, that I was welcome to come in, to meet with educators, to meet with administrators. So I think that is very indicative of a respect for parents and having a good relationship between parents. I know as a person who works in a special education district that parental rights can be a thorny issue. We deal with that quite a lot, balancing civil rights, balancing parental and student rights. So I'm familiar with the sensitivity that's required there. And I just think, again, that I am grounded by my values of, I want to see every child get an equitable and free and appropriate public education. That's what motivates me. And that's what makes me really want to have this opportunity and to contribute in whatever way that I can.
Follow-up question from Mr. Ventatelli.
Ms. Mercon, thank you for coming today. I believe I heard you saying that civil rights versus parental rights. Did I hear, is that the phrase you used? Did I hear that correctly?
No, I know that I guess what I was trying to get at is that having been in that environment, I worked in a school as a school administrative assistant for 13 years. And so I've watched those situations play out, and I've seen, I think one of my best attributes is that I set out to learn from every experience that I find myself in. So, having special needs students and having a problem where a parent felt like their students' rights would have been violated, I had the opportunity to learn from the perspective of the parent, as well as the educator, as well as the district administration. And I believe that being a fair person and someone who is interested in equity, that being able to take those situations in and to learn from everyone's perspective is valuable. And I do know that it's not oftentimes possible to make everyone happy, and that these experiences can sometimes get very thorny and litigious. So I've had some experience seeing those kinds of things.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any additional follow-up on that? Okay, we're going to go to a couple of questions from our board members. Ms. Berkmeyer?
Has anyone from Anchor Bay or MISD leadership encouraged or asked you to apply for the board?
No, actually, I had been looking because I noticed that there would be elections this year, so I had planned to file to run, and then I saw that there was this opening, and I thought it was kind of really an indication that I should go ahead and try it.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Mr. Richards?
Can you tell me any events or any other involvements or any events that you've attended within the last year within the Anchor Bay School District?
Oh, I'm sorry. I have to say that I have not.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions from the center of the table? Okay, Ms. Marcone, thank you so much for your time. And again, we probably will not have a vote tonight.
Okay,
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
best wishes.
We have Brian Romano.
Yes.
Okay, am I saying that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Welcome. I wanted to let you know we are not live streaming so that the other candidates do not have an advantage, but we are recording. And it's not anticipated that we will vote tonight, but probably January 28th.
Okay.
It's possible we'll vote tonight, but probably not. So we're going to get started. The questions are also in front of you if you'd like to read along. Do you live in the Anchor Bay School District?
Yes, I've lived here since September of 2019. I have 2 children within the district as well.
Wonderful. Are you a registered voter?
Yes, I am.
Why are you interested in serving on the school board?
I'll answer that truthfully. I'm a bit of a nerd. This is the type of stuff I enjoy. I've done everything from sitting on the Citizens Advisory Committee for the city of New Baltimore. I've actually been on a school board for Prevail Academy and Mount Clemens, part of one of the NHA schools. I sat on that school board. It was about November. My wife actually talked me into stepping down from the time commitment and having no children in the district. So when I saw this come up, I actually asked my wife permission to actually come here to make sure that she was okay with me spending the time. And yeah, that's why I'm.
Well, if you're looking for nerds, you've come to the right place. Describe in your own words the role of a school board member.
Ooh, that is a good question. I think the role of the school board. I think it's ultimately guidance and to help not only the school, but the students to ensure that we are holding up to the school's values and that we're making progress, not only the students making progress in their education, but we are making the right decisions for the school and the community as a whole.
Oh, I wrote that on the wrong line. Okay. After review and discussion on significant issues, the board operates by a majority vote. When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you manage the situation and potential criticism of your position?
You're saying after the vote is after the vote is already cast? And
Not necessarily. Well, we make a motion and then we discuss, and maybe you have an opposing. So if there's 6 people that are like, yes, we want purple walls, and you're like, no. And they're like, well, you want green walls. And they say green walls are dumb. Nobody says that, but that kind of thing. How do you manage when you are not the majority?
well, I think there's a 2-part answer I have to that. So my background is human resources, mainly in union environments. I've negotiated contracts in multiple different countries, Mexico, Brazil, as well as the United States, obviously majority in the United States. I've actually kind of stepped away from the negotiation on the union side now that I'm with Aptiv, my current employer. However, in negotiations, there's a lot of different tactics you can take in various different ways. If there isn't a vote, when you're getting to the vote, you're obviously expressing your opinion. It's never why the other side is wrong. But the best strategy is always to explain why your answer is right. Ultimately, you're not going to get everybody on your side. It's good to express your opinion, make sure people fully understand, why you believe that is the correct way. Outside of that, there's nothing you can do. Obviously, once a vote is cast, I respect the board and the decision and the majority and all of you and your decisions. But, I will make sure my voice and my opinion and the reason why I believe that is correct.
Okay, thank you. Any follow-up questions to that? Okay, at times you'll be caught between legitimately opposing points of view, and there may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you are required to uphold as a board member. How will you handle this?
Of course, you will uphold the law and policy in place.
Okay. What do you perceive? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I will say, if it's a policy, I might bring that up in the next board meeting to see if it's possible we could change it, but in the course of law and things of that nature.
What do you perceive? I'm sorry, did anyone have a follow-up to that? Okay. What do you perceive as the district's strengths and weaknesses?
Being HR, that's a generic interview question that I should have been prepared for. But in regards to, you want to ask me mine? No, I'm kidding. In regards to the district, I don't know how to answer the question on the weakness, and that's a silly question because of course there's going to be a weakness. But when it comes to strength, I grew up in Warren Woods School District. Actually, Mackenzie, I knew him when he was just a teacher. Young blood over at Warren Woods Tower High School. That's where I went to or graduated. I still see him every morning at the gym and to this day. But I think the biggest strength here, and it sounds almost cliche to say it, but it's really the people, the staff, the faculty. I have one child who's who has autism. So he's gone up through through South Middle School, and now he's actually a senior this year at the high school. So I've seen how you guys have handled everything for special needs and the programs that you run there. I have a daughter now who's the first fifth grader at in middle school. So understanding and going through that, and obviously there's a lot of opinionated voices on that topic, for instance. But the way it was handled here, the way it's working in the schools, everything I've seen, I just have a lot of respect for everybody that and what they've done, and it's ultimately while there's minimal fireworks, I would say, in regards to the decision for the middle school combining. That is a major task and a major tackle, and to pull that off flawlessly just goes to show what the district's capable of. So, just in essence, I've been here almost nearly, roughly 5 years, 5.5, and I have nothing but good things to say about the district.
We like to hear it. Okay, final question, and then we'll go on to some board questions. Oh, I'm sorry, Jamie.
What do you think was your proudest accomplishment at Prevail?
Really, I think it was the way we put the ESSER funds to use. A lot of the things that we were able to do with those ESSER funds, I think that gave me biggest sense of accomplishment there because of where we were able to work and to actually use those funds for the betterment of schools. Majority of people at Prevail Academy are not from within Mount Clemens. They are from other school districts. Additionally, through a lot of the programs and things we developed, we actually had better test scores than the Mount Clemens School District itself, the school that we were surrounding. Additionally, the reason I was actually asked to join and what brought me into NHA was from one of the executives actually at my current employer, we had long discussions about special needs and various different things for autism and cognitive impairment. So I think that was probably, for me personally, that's where I had my most involvement, was helping them really upgrade everything that their classrooms and their resource rooms and everything they had for that. And we use a lot of ESSER funds and things of that nature for that.
Any other questions? Okay, our final question, then we'll go on to some board questions. Identify a recent board decision that you felt strongly about and describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs, parental rights, state and federal law, staff considerations, and your personal values and beliefs to determine how to vote on the issue.
A recent decision, that was something that was recently decided?
Yeah. Or
I think I'll go back to the middle school, the combining of the schools. I think I'll be blatantly honest with you guys. I mean, I heard that, and my immediate gut reaction, having a daughter at that age, was this is a terrible idea. Immediately, gut reaction, that was how I felt. In talking to people in the community, watching the school board discussions, hearing out both sides. And it goes back to what I said, as we were talking about how I would respond if I felt differently, as much as I talked about making sure people understand why I felt that way. I couldn't articulate fully why I felt that way. If I'm being honest, right? I needed to hear the other side articulate why they believed it was a good idea. I mean, ultimately, I think that decision, was the right one. I think it is working out very well. Questions about the sports, I'll be honest with you. And things of that nature. I'm also a basketball coach at All-Star.
We're working on
This
it.
community call me coach. So, but going back to, going through exactly how this is written, you've met the needs of the students. I think it's just the things my daughter is doing and the way, with everything from the locker, better prepared her from it. The state and federal law, staff considerations, the way that the staff, I can't think of her name right now, of course, because I feel like I'm on the hot seat, but a lot of the staff that was brought over to middle school north from the south within special needs, and then how they've developed that program, because that was majority at south. Why my son, even though I live near north, my son went to south for that reason. To have that at north and the way the program's been developing, it's definitely the right decision. But going back, because I'm stumbling over my words here, how I would have voted on that issue, like I said, is I eventually would have turned to yes, but I needed to have all the details first. And I think that's the problem in the community. As I mentioned before, I was on the Citizens Advisory Committee for a long time. I stepped down because in 2023, I was traveling way too much. At least once a month, I was in Mexico for work. So I did step down from that. I couldn't make it work. Tom Saman's still trying to convince me to run for city council, which I won't be. I promise you that. I asked my wife that question too. She said no. But in regards to, I like that the idea of the Citizens Advisory Committee is to talk to those in the community, to get an understanding, to bring that to the leads of city council and to the mayor outside of that and give our opinion and help guide and that. I think that's also a piece of the school board, is not only to understand, just to get a packet and open it for the first time and go through the financial audits. There's also a big piece of how it's going to affect the community and the needs. I know the people in the community. I talk to people in the community on a regular basis. I know the students, and ultimately, I think it'd be really hard to find a parent now who isn't happy with the new middle school arrangement. I think it's just a matter of understanding and having those conversations.
Okay, thank you. Do any of you have a follow-up question? Okay, we're going to go to some board questions. Ms. Berkmeyer?
Has anyone from Anchor Bay or the MISD leadership encouraged or asked you to apply for this board position?
No, they did not.
Okay. Mr. Richards?
Have you been involved or attended any events within the Anchor Bay School District within the last year?
Any events? Yes.
Can you give me an example?
Local football games, local basketball games within the district. I coached at last year's the first they put together the basketball camp, a little bit team for the kids. It wasn't a camp. It was the 5th through 8th grade basketball league. I coached there. I coach at All-Star. I've actually gone to some of the school dances to help chaperone some of the kids with the special needs.
Thank you.
This end of the table have any questions? All right, Mr. Romano, thank you so much for your time. Once again, we are not anticipating making a vote tonight, but we will on January 28th.
I thank you all for your consideration, and I appreciate the time.
Thanks for coming out.
Good night.
That's what I said. Are we live yet? Yes, okay, we are good. All right, welcome, Dr. Side. We are not live streaming this evening, so candidates that are waiting don't have an advantage, but we are recording. It is not anticipated that there will be a vote tonight, more likely on January 28th. So we have some questions here. You have the questions in front of you as well. Do you live in the Anchor Bay School District?
I do.
Okay. Are you a registered voter?
Yes,
Why are you interested in serving on the school board?
I've served on state association boards and I wanted to start advocating on the local level and getting more involved in the community and I live in and that my kids go to school in.
Wonderful. Describe in your own words the role of a school board member.
Advocacy, policies. I didn't really anticipate this question. I apologize. More or less just being the voices to help the district, not just keep up with what our students need and our children need, but to engage in more advocacy work to what makes or what helps us grow.
Do we have any follow-up questions to that? Okay.
And I'm sure many other things too.
I'm sorry. What?
I'm sure many other things too.
Okay. After review and discussion on significant issues, the board operates by a majority vote. When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you manage the situation and potential criticism of your position?
I feel in a collaborative discussion, there's reasons why the vote becomes a majority. I tend to try to see what positive can come out of a vote decision that would be different from mine. I try to see different facets of why other people would vote differently, and I like to be educated and to learn. So I would bring my strengths to what I could bring to.
Any follow-up? Okay. At times, you will be caught between legitimately opposing points of view, and there may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you are required to uphold as a board member. How will you handle this?
I go by ethics. As a licensed counselor in the state of Michigan, there are a lot of viewpoints as a counselor that sometimes I don't agree with. And ethically, that is what I follow. I also try to learn why certain things are better. I try to see significant issues in a different light. I think it really boils down to I just like to learn why it's different, why other people are different, and then how can I support and strengthen that viewpoint. And it's a learning environment for me as well.
Any follow-up? What do you perceive as the district's strengths and/or weaknesses?
We moved back to Anchor Bay after leaving for a year. We've been in Anchor Bay for a while, and then we wanted to go try a different school district and move away. We made it the school year, and my children and I both wanted to come back. I like how our district is. I like the community collaboration. I like how the parents and the teachers talk. The strengths far outweigh the weaknesses in my mind. The one weakness I could see is I feel like at the high school level, there's so many changes that our students need some more support. Maybe a little bit more oversight with some things. There's some subjects that I feel need a little bit more attention, but overall I see more strengths.
Any follow-up? Mr. Venditelli?
Yes, Dr. Seid, I believe I heard you say in the last question that there are certain laws that pertain to your practice as a counselor that you disagree with, that you respect them and you follow them. Would you be willing or able to describe an example of a law that you disagree with, but that you have to follow with regards to counseling?
It's not necessarily a law, it's an ethical standard. And some ethics are subjective. One of them would be the use of personal disclosure, for example, whereas some counselors will not personally disclose anything because, you want to make sure that you're keeping that boundary with a client versus what a therapist's viewpoint is or experience is. And sometimes the part that I disagree with is sometimes you have to share a little bit to help build that rapport, to help them understand that, the empathy is coming from a place of knowledge. But overall, it's got to be at the benefit of the client, not the benefit of you or the therapist.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm kind not in the field that you're in. So you can describe to me what kind of personal, I guess, ideas would you want to share with one of your patients that morally, or I'm sorry, ethically, you're not allowed to?
Well, it's not necessarily sharing what I'm not ethically allowed to share. It's just I have lived experience with being a homeless 17-year-old. So when I have a client come in who is experiencing hardships or experienced trauma or experienced homelessness, sharing that little piece where I've gone from being homeless at 17 to just graduating with my doctorate a few months ago, sharing that can be helpful for some clients. But you have to navigate which clients are okay hearing that, because sometimes it could do more damage.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a valid reason. Thank you.
Okay, a final question, and then we are going to go on to some board questions. Identify a recent board decision that you felt strongly about and describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs, parental rights, state and federal law, staff considerations, and your personal values and beliefs to determine how to vote on the issue.
I would say with the changes to the middle school structure, among my social network, among a lot of parents that I talked to, it was a very split good versus bad choice. And at first I was not sure how it would work because of the logistics of everything. And then after just reading more of what was given to us, the information and being educated on it and how everything was changed, it changed my viewpoint. And I use that to help others understand. Whether it helps you or helps change someone's mind or not, education is power, and knowing more about it can help you make an informed choice.
Any follow-up questions to that? Okay, we're going to go on to Dr. Berkmeyer.
Has anyone from Anchor Bay or MISD leadership encouraged or asked you to apply for the board?
No.
Mr. Richards?
Have you been involved or attended any events within the Anchor Bay School District within the last year? And if so, can you give me an example of which ones?
I don't think I have that I can remember, but I was working on my dissertation this last year, so there's a lot I don't remember.
Understandable. Thank you.
Been a little busy. Do we have any questions from this end of the table? Okay, hearing none. Thank you for your time today, Dr. Seid. And once again, probably not going to vote tonight. We might, but definitely January 28th. So again, we appreciate you coming out. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Hello, Mr. Wentworth. We are not live streaming, but we are recording so that the other candidates do not have an advantage.
Okay.
It's not anticipated that there will be a vote tonight, more likely January 28th at our next regularly scheduled meeting. Have 8 questions. They're in front of you. So feel free to read along. Do you live in the Anchor Bay School District?
Yes, I do.
Are you a registered voter?
Yes, I am.
Can you move the microphone a little bit closer, please?
Yeah.
Thank you. Why are you interested in serving on the school board?
For me, when I found out there was an open position, I just want to be a help. I think for a long time, I've done my very best as a community member to come alongside the school district and help in areas where I feel like I can assist. And if this is an area where I could help, I'd love to be able to just help wherever I could.
Okay. Any follow-up question? Describe in your own words the role of a school board member.
To me, a school board member is a little bit meant to be a bridge to the community, right? That you're representing the community as well. And so to bring that transparency at times, to be able to be accessible to people in the community when they have questions, I think that's important. But also to provide leadership to the district and to the superintendent as well to make sure that, policies are being followed and teachers and staff and kids are the priority.
Any follow-up questions? Okay, after review and discussion on significant issues, the board operates by a majority vote. When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you manage the situation and potential criticism of your position?
I mean, I think at the end of the day, in my role, there are certainly situations we walk away from as a staff where we might not all agree on decisions that are made. But to me, the standard is when we leave this room, we agree. we're on the same page. And so I think for me, I would, if a decision was made that I didn't 100% agree with, at the end of the day, I go with a majority vote and can live with that.
Any follow-up? At times, you will be caught between legitimately opposing points of view, and there may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you're required to uphold as a board member. How will you handle this?
I think policy and law holds the standard. And for me, my opinions or personal points of view definitely come in second place. And so to me, if it's policy in the district, if it's a law, then I don't have a choice in that. And I think would defer to those policies and laws.
Thank you. Any follow-up? What do you perceive as the district's strengths and weaknesses?
For me, strengths, I go by some of the relationships I have at Middle School South with McCons Elementary, and then for my kids as they came through the district or are going through the district. I think the staff go above and beyond. I think I've watched teachers, especially at McCons Elementary, do more than what I would probably expect a teacher to do. And so I've seen them go beyond what maybe is expected and just really meet the needs of students as well as, do everything they can to communicate with parents and things like that. So I think the staff does a great job. That's definitely one of the strengths. I love the security of our district. Like I think the security that's been put in place, I know there's been criticism of some of those things, but I've never once felt that my kid is not safe walking into our schools. And so I think that is a plus for us. And I don't know what it's like at other school districts, but I feel confident that that's being taken care of. Weaknesses, I don't have a lot of criticisms of our district, and that's part of probably my personality. I'm not a very, I don't know. I just don't have any criticisms. There's never been points along the way that I've been upset about stuff or think things should change.
Okay, thank you. Any follow-up? All right, identify a recent board decision that you felt strongly about and describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs, parental rights, state and federal law, staff considerations, and your personal values and beliefs to determine how to vote on the issue.
I mean, I guess I look at some of the security decisions that have been made with the hiring of Fortis and then, some of the other measures that had been taken. I know there was some pushback against parents about some of the different things. At the end of the day, I know that the board as well as the district did everything they could to make the best decision to make sure kids are safe, and that's a priority. And so, the criticisms against that, at the end of the day, I trust the people in charge and the people that have done the research to make sure our kids are safe. And so in those situations, I lean that direction. So.
Do we have any follow-up, Mr. Ventatelli?
Yes, I do. Mr. Wentworth, thank you for coming today.
Yeah.
I say that right, Wentworth?
Yep.
Thank you. Okay. So you mentioned the reason why you want to serve on the board is part of your community service. You do a lot of community service to the community. Can you give us a couple examples of what you've done for the community and with regards to community service?
Yeah. I started the Feed the Bay Backpack program. And it started 13 years ago at McCons Elementary with 35 kids. And now it's certainly gone beyond me, but that started with an initiative with me finding out there was a need at McCons Elementary, that there were kids going home hungry on the weekends, and they were getting free lunch, free breakfast during the school week, and then coming back Monday just not ready to learn. And so we saw the need, stepped up, met it, and it's been amazing to see what's happened through that. About 225 bags go home every week during the school district, and we just calculated the other day probably about 100,000 bags have gone through home in the last 13 years, and that's a whole heck of a lot of bags of food to make sure that kids in our community don't go hungry. So I'm a mentor at McCons Elementary. I've been that for 6 or 7 years. I have had a few different students, so I go every other week and meet with a student during lunch and recess, just hang out with some kids that just need somebody in their corner, some support, some encouragement. My student last year, he's now at Middle School North. And so I've kind of followed him along, and hopefully I can do that for the next few years. So do that, help launch Christmas for Anchor Bay that provides Christmas for kids right here in our community for those families in need. And we do a back to school bash at McCott's. There's a lot of stuff. I've got a track record for serving our community, and I love it. That's it's one of my favorite things I get to do as part of my job.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. Sounds comprehensive. I appreciate your service and thank you for your answer.
Yeah.
Okay, if we have no more follow-up questions on that, we will go to the board. Dr. Berkmeyer?
Has anyone from Anchor Bay or MISD leadership encouraged or asked you to apply for this position?
No.
Mr. Richards?
I'm going to kind of stole my question a little bit, but that's okay. Have you been involved or attended any events within the Anchor Bay School District within the last year? And if so, can you give me some examples?
Maybe.
Outside of the 13 years of Feed the, outside of the 13 years of Feed the Bay.
We have to ask everyone the same question,
Sure,
so that's why
sure,
you have to
sure.
get
No,
lighting
you're
it.
good. I guess, the last one was Christmas for Anchor Bay. We did the back school bash at the beginning of this school year at McCott's. This was one of my favorite things we did all year. At the end of the school year at McCott's, we did like a movie day. And so we did The Wild Robot, and the kids watched the movie while teachers had just kind of a free day to kind of wrap things up. And we gave away prizes and stuff like that. So that was another one. And we do an after school rec program at McCott's as well. And so I show up once a month and hang out with kids.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? I do have a question/comment. I admire your philanthropic work, definitely. And it seems like you're aware that the school board is mostly about policy, keeping track of the superintendent. So it's great to be involved, but just to know that this is kind of a different thing. That's something that I myself didn't fully realize until I was here, that it's more policy and guidelines and things like that. And so that's in addition to all the other stuff you do. If that is all, once again, we probably won't vote tonight, but we appreciate you coming out, Mr. Wentworth, and have a great evening.
Thanks.
Thank you. We good, Tim? All right. Charles Penzian.
Yes,
I said that correctly?
correct. You got it right.
Wonderful. Welcome. We are not live streaming tonight, but we are recording, and that's so the other candidates don't have an unfair advantage. It is not anticipated that there will be a vote tonight, more likely January 28th.
Okay.
All right. Get started with our questions. You have them in front of you as well.
All right.
Do you live in the Anchor Bay School District?
Sure do.
All right. Are you a registered voter?
Yes.
Why are you interested in serving on the school board?
Well, for a couple of reasons, namely my son and daughter. Sorry, is that me causing that?
I didn't hear anything.
I'm hearing feedback, but I have a son who is a junior at the high school and a daughter who is a sixth grader. Who are probably the two most important reasons that I like to do it. But I also have always been interested in the school board, interested in the school system. I'm also a sponsor for the athletic department. My son plays football. So we've been very involved in his path as he's gone through. My daughter is just starting band. So I assume that that's going to continue as she progresses. So.
Any follow-up? Describe in your own words the role of a school board member.
Well, I think I don't know if you've had a chance to read my resume. I've been involved with a number of boards, and it's true with most of boards. They give direction to the administration, whether those are corporate boards or municipal boards or nonprofit boards. Essentially, they provide oversight and they provide direction to those who are tasked with enforcing those rules.
Any follow-up? Okay. Thank you for that response. After review and discussion on significant issues, the board operates by a majority vote. When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you manage the situation and potential criticism of your position?
Well, you have, I mean, obviously you have to, handle it like an adult. If you are on the losing side of any vote, you simply move on. I mean, that's just that's the role of our system, democracy in our country. That's what we do. You express your opinion. If you can't convince your other members that your opinion is the right way to go, then you follow their opinion if they outvote you. It's really that simple.
Follow-up? Okay. At times, you will be caught between legitimately opposing points of view, and there may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you are required to uphold as a board member. How will you handle this?
You follow the policy and the law. As a almost 30-year attorney, I've certainly been taught to follow the law, and that's what we would do if that was the case. It's a pretty simple answer there.
All right. Thank you. Any follow-up to that? All right. What do you perceive as the district's strengths and weaknesses?
Well, I'm a lifelong member of, or resident of New Baltimore. So I've been involved with the schools for a long time, obviously as a graduate of Anchor Bay, as now a parent of 2 children in Anchor Bay. I've gotten and also I have a wife who works at Anchor Bay. So we've got a lot of insight in terms of what goes on. For the most part, I think there are a lot more strengths than weaknesses. I think some of the growth that we're experiencing right now in terms of the transition of the buildings is probably the biggest weakness that I would see. But I think that's going to work itself out as that process moves along. It's just now we're in that sort of middle area where things are a little bit problematic. But that'll work its way out as the buildings get finished and things like that. But as far as the strengths, I think the school does a fantastic job educating the children. We live here because we wanted to go to Anchor Bay schools. That's really the only place we even thought about going. Both my wife and I are graduates, and we enjoyed our experiences, and I think our children are enjoying theirs. So I think it's a great school district.
Wonderful. Any follow-up? Okay. Identify a recent board decision that you felt strongly about and describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs, parental rights, state and federal law, staff considerations, and your personal values and beliefs to determine how to vote on the issue.
Well, in the last year or two, I've had the opportunity to be here in front of the board a few times, in case some of you are recognizing me. Probably one of the issues that brought concern to me was the handling of the football coach, Coach Giannoni. I have great respect for Coach Giannoni. My son has played in the football program. Like I said, he's a junior this year, will be a senior next year. I thought he was treated poorly from an employee perspective. I think, and I understand there was an investigation and a whole process, and I'm not trying to say that, there wasn't grounds for an investigation. I think there should have been some urgency in completing that, and some urgency in terms of completing or making a decision as to what was going to happen with Coach Giannoni. And the primary reason I say that is because the new coach was hired way late in the hiring season. That should have been done at the end of the football season instead of April or whenever it was this last year. Not to say there's anything wrong with the new coach, because I don't think that's the case, but I just think the way Coach Giannoni was treated was a poor reflection on the school, and it could have been handled much better.
Any follow-up?
I have one quick question.
Mr.
Sure.
Ventelli?
Mr. Penzine, sometimes as part of the board, you're required to handle and maintain confidential information without leaking it out to the public, regardless of any amount of outcry or, words of accusation. How would you handle that sort of situation if you had a piece of confidential information that a crowd of people were trying to accuse you of being, let's say, dishonest towards, but you couldn't clear your name because of the rule for confidentiality?
You have to maintain, if there's a confidential piece of information, that's inviolate. It cannot be, you cannot leak it. As an attorney, I deal with confidential information all the time. My clients' secrets they'll go to the grave with me. People tell me things that I have to maintain absolute confidentiality about, and I would fight to my end to keep anybody from making me reveal that. So there's no question in my mind that's the absolute answer to that. It just won't be revealed.
To Mr. Venditelli's point, sometimes it is hard when you have 5,000 people that think you made the wrong decision. And we sit here and we can't say why. That can be tough. We have a question from Dr. Bergmeyer.
Has anyone from Anchor Bay or MISD leadership encouraged or asked you to apply for this board seat?
No,
Thank you.
absolutely not.
And a question from Mr. Richards.
Have you been involved or attended any events within the Anchor Bay School District within the last year? If so, can you give me some examples?
Events within the last year. Well, there's going to be a lot of them. Basketball games, football game. I think I attended every single football game. I will say I've never missed a football game that my son's played in, or basketball game that he's played in, because he did play freshman basketball. And I've luckily can say the same thing about my daughter's band concert. She's only been in one, but I've been to every single band concert. So that's a real important thing. And I've also been to a bunch of, if you look at my resume, you'll see that I coached youth football. So I'm lucky to have known a couple of years before my son went through and a couple of years after. So I've even gone to games where he's not playing because I know the kids and have a relationship with a bunch of their parents. So lots of sporting events and lots of other things, throughout the school year.
Thank you.
Do we have Mr. Powers?
Just kind of looking through your fairly extensive legal background, how do you think that could benefit us as a board having that background with us?
Well, any board that I've ever served on, of course, I have to, one of my ethical obligations is to serve, whenever I'm on a board, I'm acting as an attorney. All right. You have to conduct yourself under our rules of professional conduct as an attorney. So obviously when I analyze situations and analyze things, I'm doing it as an attorney. So I've had a lot of experience on boards. I've been on the Zoning Board of Appeal, for example, in New Baltimore for 20 years, although I'm not on there now. I've also been on a lot of charitable boards, things of that nature. So when you do that, I mean, you learn things about the Open Meetings Act and all the rules about things of that nature. Well, obviously, those are issues that the school board's going to hear about. Although I haven't served on a school board, but there's a lot of similarity in terms of how things are conducted. So I think that would be helpful. And in general legal background in terms of business disputes and legal issues, they come up every day, I'm sure, with the board.
Any further questions? Okay, Mr. Penzian, thank you so much for coming out today. Thank you for your time. And once again, we do not anticipate voting tonight, but definitely January 28th.
And I assume somebody will let me know. Thank you.
Somebody will let you know.
Thank you very much.
Thank
see
you. And we have Kimberly Koch.
Yes.
Is that how you pronounce it?
It is.
All right. We've been having discussion about that up here. All right. Well, welcome. Thank you for coming out. We are not live streaming, so the other candidates don't have an advantage, but we are recording. It is not anticipated that there will be a vote tonight, but definitely January 28th. You have the questions in front of you, so you are free to read along. Do you live in the Anchor Bay School District?
Yes, I do.
Are you a registered voter?
Yes.
All right. Why are you interested in serving on the school board?
I recently, I was teacher in district and I left teaching last year. And I think I loved that job because I was really interested in giving as much as I could to the district and to education. I just think coming from the place of being a teacher, I understand like just the importance of the foundation of education. And like many of the candidates, this is where I went to high school. It's where my kids went to school. This is my town and my neighborhood, and it's been forever. And when I was a teacher, I was a student council rep in NHS and chess club and the trading card club, and just anything I could give to make education better, I wanted to do. And I miss being in the school. And so I just saw this as an opportunity to, get involved again in making the kids of the community where, one of my neighbors who goes to the high school shoveled my snow today, just to make that education continue to be better and still have a place and making that important.
Okay, do we have any follow-up questions? Okay. Describe in your own words the role of a school board member.
Well, I think that you get handed a lot of different challenges all of the time. And I think maybe coming from teaching, I understand what those challenges are and am equipped to kind of bounce with that. But I think a school board member puts students first and education first, but they're also in charge of all of the stakeholders of the community. So they need to keep in mind, parents and students and administrators and the whole role that goes into improving the education.
Any follow-up? All right. After review and discussion on significant issues, the board operates by a majority vote. When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you manage the situation and potential criticism of your position?
I think that that's a strong suit of mine of really wanting people's voice to be heard. And I really value discussion and I value the opinions of others. And I also am good at like pivoting to support something if that is in the interest of what other people, if the majority votes in a certain way, then I would be like excited to then just help and support that.
No follow-up. At times, you will be caught between legitimately opposing points of view, and there may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you are required to uphold as a board member. How will you handle this?
I think that, just playing off of the question before, legitimately opposing viewpoints. I'm just trying to, I'm trying to think of a time when my personal point of view is different than law. I was even thinking, like, they were talking about getting speeding tickets in the room, and like by nature, I'm a rule follower. So I think it's hard for me to think of a time when my point of view is different than what is legal or, is the law. So I guess because I like rules and laws, I'd probably be pretty happy to go along and to support that.
Any follow-up? What do you perceive as the district's strengths and weaknesses?
Coming from being a staff member, I think that the district has some wonderful, motivated staff. I think having children that have recently gone through that, it's a strong curriculum and a well-organized curriculum. Systemically, education has a lot of pitfalls right now. That's going through a lot of changes. And I don't know if schools in general are doing everything to meet and those changes. And so I would say Anchor Bay is one of those where teachers and students are requiring different kinds of support. And I think that there are some ways that we could support both the teachers and the students better.
Thank you. Are there any follow-up here? Right. Identify a recent board decision that you felt strongly about and describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs, parental rights, state and federal law, staff considerations, and your personal values and beliefs to determine how to vote on the issue.
Probably the board decision that I can think of that recently meant the most to me was the banning of cell phones. And I would say just in that decision, I saw some of the concerns and the parents in the community voicing their concerns over student safety and communication. And of course, the students who were very unhappy about the policy. Unfortunately, I left teaching before I got to see it instilled, but some of my friends that are still there think it's a lovely policy. But I have a background in psychology, and I know for one, in that particular ruling, I would have helped to ease the concerns of community and parents by being very data driven. There's a lot of research on the strengths of taking that constant communication out of their hands and the brain research that goes along with how it's shortening attention spans. And I think that there's a lot of data. And I think when you can provide facts and data, then you can help to ease a lot of the concerns, even for the students' needs. Teachers have phones and there are phones in classrooms. And so you could provide that sort of insight to just ease people's minds. I think really getting out in front of and being able to see the problems that might arise from a policy and starting to head those off, very much like the fact that that was a very well publicized by the district policy, started at the end of the school year, letting people know, was a really great way to start to like ease people's minds and get them used to that idea and the kids to know that that was going to happen. And, you know, when it talks in this about, you know, state and federal law, I did see recently that I think the state is going to move or is considering moving toward a ban on phones. So you can see how that kind of plays along with that.
Thank you. Do we have any follow-up? Mr. Sonneberger?
If I gave you a magic wand and you could change one thing, what would you change that would have kept you behind a teacher's desk and not checking out 12-volt batteries?
You read my resume. I would have needed to feel more supported as a teacher in my classroom, to have more agency over especially student behavior in the classroom. And that would be, you know, something that I would hope to work for, because I think that that is, again, not an Anchor Bay problem. That's a systemic problem. But I think that there are little things that could be tweaked that could help people, teachers in the buildings to feel more supported and have some ideas.
Thank you. Any other follow-up there? Mr. Vendatelli?
Yeah, Ms. Koch, what is your opinion on CBE?
I think that CBE has a place in education. I think it has a good place, especially in CTE courses. It fits well in an elementary model. I say I'm a data person. I spend a lot of time looking for data that supports that theory of education, and you can find it in higher education. I have some experience with a PhD program out of University of Florida that was in historic preservation, and the students came to that PhD program with a lot of varied construction knowledge. And so a CBE type program there allowed adults to serve their own purpose and make their own learning goals and to work toward those because they came with different levels of experience. In secondary, because I come from secondary education, it is a hard model to meet the standards and to do that with the way that a classroom is set up right now. I think like when Middle School South was built, they had divider walls that came out of the buildings, and there was the idea of like teachers community teaching. I think if you had 2 teachers in a classroom with 40 students or even 50 students, that CBE model might work if there was a team teaching model, but it is a very difficult model for many classrooms. I was mostly an AP teacher, so it's a difficult model to meet all the standards of an AP course and to do the CBE model.
So as a follow-up, if the standards align with the goals that are set in the CBE curriculum, like for example, if you need to know how to long divide, I mean, I know that's an elementary school and you said that that factors in, but let's take it, for example, in a high school biology class. Let's say you need to know about mitosis and cell division, and that's a standard for that class. I'm not sure what the standards are for that class, but let's say that it is. And you make that one of the levels of proficiency you have to reach with regards to the CBE course of itself. That should directly align with, you know, the state curriculum. So how would that come in conflict? You said it would be difficult to implement that in high school. Is that correct?
Yeah, the way that I would see it is, yes, maybe in a freshman biology class, that might be a standard. My guess is that's a standard for maybe a middle school course, but and again, I'm coming from an AP curriculum. The amount of standards that I would have to cover in a week were too numerous to make a lesson around a standard. So it had to be multiple standards mixed into a lesson in order to make that work. So that's where it became difficult. But again, if you change the model, if the CBE curriculum is something that you want to support, then I think it needs different supports for the staff, such as the ability to team teach.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I do have some follow-up on this discussion, just based on some of the answers and the comments made. Did our decision to adopt a CBE model play any part in your decision to leave the field of education after 23 years and go into the corporate world?
It did not
It
for
did
me.
not?
No, it did not for me. No, I was excited to support that initiative. It was not a factor in my leaving.
Okay, Dr. Berkmeyer?
Has anyone from Anchor Bay or MISD leadership encouraged or asked you to apply for the board?
Staff, member was the first one who pointed out that, the board was open. And then I had, neighbors, that also encouraged me, but not the ISD, no.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Richards?
Have you been involved or attended any events within the Anchor Bay School District within the last year? If so, can you give me some examples?
Prom, last year, dances, graduation, ceremonies. I was in a play. Um, and that was, again, this is my community and I love it. So for 20 whatever years, more than that, I've done and been and excited about just about anything that somebody asked me to do to help.
Great, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Do we have any additional questions? Okay, hearing none. Thank you for coming out, Ms. Koch. Again, we are probably not going to vote tonight, but definitely January 28th. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right. We have Darian Fortier or Fortier?
Fortier.
Fortier. All right. That was my second choice. Welcome. We are not live streaming tonight, so the other candidates that are waiting don't have an advantage, but we are recording.
Okay.
It is not anticipated that there will be a vote tonight, but definitely on January 28th.
Okay.
All right. You have the questions in front of you if you'd like to read along. First question, do you live in the Anchor Bay School District?
I do.
Are you a registered voter?
I am.
Why are you interested in serving on the school board?
Okay, a number of reasons. So, the first being, I have a 4-year-old who is currently a student in this building. We just moved into this area in the summer and we chose this area specifically for the school district. So that would be number one. His education, I'd like to be involved, not only for him, but for the community. The second being, I am a Macomb County prosecutor. I specialize in child abuse and sexual assault cases. So the children of the community in general are very important to me. To be clear, this area is not part of my jurisdiction that I am assigned to. So just to get ahead of any conflict or anything, there should not be any. It was something I very much looked into before I even turned my application in. So those are the two biggest things, I think, my own son specifically, but the children of the community in general.
Any follow-up?
I do have a follow-up.
Mr. Vendatelli?
Yes, Ms. Fortier.
Yes.
If you were a part of the board and you had to make a decision that was, let's say, good for the district as a whole, but might hinder in some way your kid's education, would you support the district as a whole or support your kid's education? I give you a hypothetical that helps.
Okay.
Let's say, for example, there was a question as whether to put in a certain service, like put a new playground for your kid's school versus a new swimming pool that the district as a whole could enjoy. Which option would be, I guess, something that you would support, given all the considerations?
I mean, if those are let's use your hypothetical as an example. Those are my only two options. I would go with the thing that benefits the district as a whole, as that still, it doesn't hinder my son. It would still benefit him as well. And these decisions are also future things. So let's say he's still in elementary school, he would eventually, I guess, enjoy the benefits of some of the things for the middle schools or for the high school. And it would be an overall decision, which would include his future as well. So in your hypothetical, I suppose the swimming pool would be the option that I would choose.
Thank you.
Any additional follow-up? Okay, please describe in your own words the role of a school board member.
I would describe it as, I guess, an oversight committee. The more day-to-day functions being something that the superintendent would manage. And a number of things, oversight for the superintendent, oversight for policy, things like that. Oversight for finance decisions, oversight just to keep everybody in line with, I guess like the education laws and things like that. So really the number one, I guess, common denominator there would be the oversight of things.
Any additional follow-up? Okay, after review and discussion on significant issues, the board operates by a majority vote. When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you manage the situation and potential criticism of your position? Like if everyone voted for the pool and you were like, no playground, and everyone said playground's dumb, how would you handle that?
So this is actually a really good question for me because this is something that I talk about at my work a lot. When we are in trial and we are trying to pick a jury, this is a question that comes up in regards to you're not going to just give in, you're not going to do what the majority says, you're going to stand by your own position. One of what I would describe as a pro for me, or something that would be a benefit that I would bring to the table, is I have a certain level, a certain tenacity, and I suppose the criticism wouldn't necessarily change my position. I would be steadfast in what I believe in. I think that's the purpose of having a board as a generally, that's why there's a majority vote. And I guess throughout my life and numerous times, there have been things where I have faced criticism over something and people are receiving criticism for lots of different things. So I don't think I would let it bother me.
Okay. Any follow-up? All right. At times, you will be caught between legitimately opposing points of view, and there may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you are required to uphold as a board member. How will you handle this?
Another easy one for me. The policy or law would be something that, dictates the decision here. There's not really a question about that. I would put my own personal view aside and do what the policy or law dictates. It's something I, once again, do at least once a week, if not more than that. So
yeah, we've had a couple attorneys tonight, so you guys all keep saying the same thing, which is good. Sounds like you guys are doing your job. Any other questions for that or follow up with that? All right. What do you perceive as the district's strengths and or weaknesses?
I think I'd like to start with weaknesses because this is something that I'm just myself personally, and the fact that my son is only 4. I'm having a hard time right now because no one can tell me what elementary school they think he's going to be in next year, because there is a bit of everyone keeps telling me potentially a change up in regards to where the ECC is, to where the elementary schools are, what's going to be an elementary school and what's not. Right now I am closest, I think, to Lighthouse, which is the one that everyone keeps telling me is potentially going to switch. There were also issues in regards to his before and after care. And so some of the things I'm recognizing, and this might not be the case once my child is a little bit older, but some of the things I am noticing right now is there is almost a lack of clarity, at least with the littler kids, on some of the things that are happening. Even like looking up the before and after care and the preschool program in general. No one called me until the middle of August to let me know that the tuition preschool wasn't a thing any longer and that everyone would be doing GSRP. And so we were really scrambling because we chose the tuition preschool specifically for the fact that it was 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., which were the hours that I needed. So right now, at least my own personal observation, and again, I'm only dealing with the very little kids at this point, is like a lack of organization and communication with parents. In regards to strengths, I did a lot of research on school districts because we did just recently moved, and that was something that we really took into consideration. And I do see a lot of like community outreach in this school. I think even just now, the people I was talking to the room, everyone seems very connected. In regards to academics, this school district seems to score pretty well. The sports programs also seem to be getting better. So I think there is or at least appears to me, a want to be better, which I think is definitely a strength.
Any follow-up? Mr. Sonneberger?
Can we zoom out just for a second? And can you give me one thing that we are doing right in overall education? Maybe one thing we're not quite hitting the mark on?
I think, and again, I'm still very new to this district and I'm very focused on the little kids at this point. There does seem to be a very good, at least in this program, hands-on learning is fun versus just academically straight. This is the program, a lot of, what is the word I'm looking for? Practical, like learning while doing something else, which I think is very good for kids. So I think that is something overall that seems to be a really positive thing here. To be quite frank with you, I can't really give you a weakness because I have not really experienced, at least overall, one that I've seen myself.
Any additional follow-up? Okay. Identify a recent board decision that you felt strongly about and describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs, parental rights, state and federal law, staff considerations, and your personal values and beliefs to determine how to vote on the issue.
Again, new to this district, not a recent board decision that I have felt strongly about. I did go back and watch very briefly a handful of meetings just to kind of catch myself up before I did turn in my application.
Riveting stuff to watch.
Yeah. So just, doing a little research, not something that I, again, have really gotten into. So if you don't mind, I guess, can I describe kind of how I would balance these things in general?
Sure.
Okay. Community concerns and student needs, I think, are probably the things that I would give the most weight to. Now, obviously, parental rights and federal law are things that you can't ignore, especially law. You have to be within that. However, my personal value and beliefs, while also important, and I think everyone's experiences kind of shape how they vote and how they see things, probably at the bottom of the list. Number one, being student needs, like we talked about before, in regards to potential criticisms of the position and stuff like that. I care less about community concerns. This is, again, something I think I really focus on at work, especially doing child abuse and sexual assault. There are a lot of times where I tell parents, I understand how you're feeling, but I don't care. Not that I don't care about you, but I care about your child. That is the person that I am the most focused on. And I think that is probably something in my background that would push me to probably value student needs as the highest thing. And then, of course, everything overall. But if it was a pie chart, I don't think all of the pieces would be equal.
Okay. Do we have any follow-up questions, Mr. Venditelli?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Knox. So can you elaborate a little bit? Might be a confidentiality thing. If that is, feel free to let me know. But you said there's certain circumstances where students' needs supersede parents' needs. That might be with regards to your need to protect students and ultimately find, I guess, in this case, justice for them. Can you elaborate a little bit on what that would look like?
I can elaborate as long as you don't want me to give you any specific details, if that's okay.
Correct. Yes.
In my specific position, there are a lot of times where we might have a young child victim who doesn't want to testify. We have victim advocates that have made it very clear to me that we could get them to testify, but it could potentially set them back into a really bad downward spiral that I'm not trying to put a 7-year-old or an 8-year-old or a 15-year-old. I'm not trying to put any of them into. And a parent is very much in a situation where they say, I would like to go to trial. I don't really care. I want him to get the most amount of time as possible. And in that situation, there are a lot of negotiations where I have to be like, I understand what you're saying to me. And in a perfect world, everybody who did some sort of crime like this would get the absolute maximum amount of time or penalty that they possibly could. However, there are rules, which I guess would then fit into state and federal law and things like that, that I have to follow. And because of that, I would have to put your child on the stand. And that is not something that I think we should be doing. I see the need for justice, but the most important person in this situation is the victim, or in the school board case, the child. And unfortunately, while you do have a right as their parent to tell me what you want to see happen with this case, I am less concerned about that and more concerned about the child's well-being. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
Did you have a question?
Follow up on the last question. Okay. Dr. Berkmeyer.
Has anyone from Anchor Bay or MISD leadership encouraged or asked you to apply for the board?
Not from Anchor Bay leadership, no.
Or MISD?
No.
Mr. Richards?
Have you been involved or attended any events within the Anchor Bay School District within the last year? If so, can you give me some examples?
I have been to a number of field trips and things like that for my own son, yes. And again, to be clear, we did move here in the summer. That
No.
was his, okay.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So nothing outside of, you said in the last year, I have also attended a football game.
There you go. Thank you.
Mr. Powers?
So I want to be transparent. I'm going to ask you a question that I did not ask any other candidates,
Okay.
but the reason is because you're the only candidate that's a prosecutor. Does that sound fair?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we had a situation in our district last year where an individual broke into one of our elementary buildings in the middle of the night with a laptop, a gun, and a bottle of booze.
Okay.
Wreaked havoc on our community for an entire day.
Yes.
There was a lot of frustration at the board level, and I believe at the administration level, at kind of the lack of seriousness in the charges. We felt that even the charges that were brought forth, they were kind of brought along kicking and screaming type of a thing. Made its way to the court. The judge kind of was incredibly dismissive, going so far as to refer to the whole incident as Mickey Mouse. These are his words, Mickey Mouse stuff. And I can assure you that the parents of the students in that building thought it was the exact opposite of Mickey Mouse stuff. And I'm not attempting to tie you to that at all. I want to be clear, not doing that. Okay. My question is, in your experience as a prosecutor, do you feel we, in general, our criminal justice system, our legal system properly supports school safety and our ability to operate a large school district in a manner that keeps our staff and our students as safe as they need to be?
I am willing to answer your question, but just know I am going to I'm going to speak slowly.
Sure, I get it. No, I threw a lot at you,
Okay.
and I'm.
And
you know,
I'm going to speak slowly.
Yeah,
Because at the end of the day, I still am affiliated with.
I get it. I don't want to
And-
put you in any weird situations. So,
So I will answer very broadly to begin, which is I will say to you that the people that are involved in the criminal justice system are typically the first people to tell you that our system is broken. And that is why most of us work in the system. That is why for 2 years at the prosecutor's office that I'm at now, I actively begged to be in the child abuse and sexual assault unit, which I can tell you there are not a lot of people in our office that actively beg to be there. There are not. The 5 of us that are in the unit are probably the only 5 people that want to be in the unit, just so you know. So with that being said, I think our criminal justice system as a whole in regards to school safety and things like that has a lot of work that could be done. I think to be transparent with you, I don't want to touch base on your specific example that you gave me. Other than to say I understand your frustration as a parent to a child that is in the school district. As a parent to a child that at 4 years old has already told me about bad guy drills and things like that. So I understand your frustration on all fronts. And I know that probably was not as deep of an answer as you maybe wanted from me, but as I suppose the most political way I can tell you that I empathize with what you're asking me.
Mr. Venditelli.
Yep. One more question for me. What is your take on the current situation surrounding Roblox? Are you familiar with what's going on?
I'm not familiar with what's going on.
Okay. You mind if I elaborate?
No, go ahead.
It's basically a online video game portal.
Oh, Roblox. Yes. Okay. So I know what Roblox is. I'm not 100%. Is there a specific situation that's happening in Anchor Bay or in
general?
early childhood? Okay.
There are a lot of kids that are, nationwide, but also personally in my circle. That's how I was alerted of this. I'll give you an example. Someone who I'm aware of, and I'm not going to obviously name any names.
Of course.
She's a 9-year-old girl. Okay. She has a 25-year-old boyfriend from Roblox. And that's common on that platform. And in fact, there are a number of whistleblowers who have tried to make a point to change the platform and to eliminate that sort of behavior. And they've been shut down, I guess, lied about, and otherwise their efforts have been completely avoided to a very large extent. A lot of our parents might not be aware of the dangers that have gone on. We've spoken about it a little bit during board comment periods, but our reach is somewhat limited. I'm just curious to know, if you are aware or what your take would be on something like that.
So I am aware in general, I guess maybe not specifically Roblox, but that this is an overarching issue. In fact, one of the last trainings that I attended was on what's called sexploitation, which is almost exactly what you're talking about, except then taking it a step further, where these people will maybe build these relationships, then we'll get the minor to maybe exchange pictures. And then once that happens, there is an exploitation for money, basically as blackmail of, I'm not going to spread these pictures all over the internet if you pay me, which is really an actively growing problem in our society. I will tell you that as somebody in the legal profession, there are sometimes some frustrations when people outside of the legal profession get involved in some things like that. In regards to, I don't want to use the word helping because of course we'll take all the help we can get, but there are very specific delicacies, I guess, that come from outside sources kind of bringing this information to law enforcement and potentially some additional issues that arise from that and getting information from outside sources, if that makes sense.
Are you referring to Fruits of the Poisonous Tree? It's a
Not
real
that specific legal
Yeah. So
term, but
for everyone's reference, if you get evidence illegally through certain means, then all the information that you find could be thrown out in court.
yes. So in regards to that specifically, that is typically law enforcement specific, them using unethical or illegal tactics to get information. So not that specifically, not the police specifically, but sometimes an entrapment like feel, I guess would be kind of what I'm referring to. So yes, I do understand the frustration. Yes, I am concerned about that. In regards to my own child, we are very active when we monitor any sort of tablet use. There's parental locks on pretty much everything. And I'm very sensitive to that. Sometimes I think I'm probably more sensitive than a lot of people just because I see so many horrible things which I can't wait till my son asks me to go to his first sleepover. I would absolutely be saying no. So I am aware of the issues. I understand your concerns. In regards to, I guess, my approach and what to do about it is see something, say something. And the more attention we can bring to it, so the more parents that are aware of these problems and aware of monitoring, and aware of the potential horrible consequences from some of these things, the better. So I think, I guess joking aside, education is, even for the parents, still something that we should really be focused on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, if we have no further questions, Ms. Fortier, thank you for coming in tonight.
Thank you.
And again, we probably will not be voting tonight, but by January 28th.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for your time. All right, Sean Elliott?
Yep.
All right, well, welcome. We are not live streaming tonight, so the other candidates, did not have an unfair advantage. It is not anticipated that there will be a vote tonight, more likely January 28th.
Okay.
So with that, we will get on with the interview. Do you
Okay.
live in the Anchor Bay School District?
Yes, I do.
Are you a registered voter?
Yes.
Why are you interested in serving on the school board?
Why am I interested in serving on the school board? I I love Anchor Bay and have a passion for it. I volunteer quite a bit, and I was a former employee of 5 years. And we live in the district. My sons go to the district. We've enjoyed the district, and so I think that I have a lot to bring to the table.
Thank you. Any follow-up question to that? All right. Describe in your own words the role of a school board member.
In my own words, the role of the school board member. Well, the role of the school board member is many, really. It's the school board member wears a lot of hats. They help set the vision and goals. They help create policy. They help overlook the superintendent's office. They have a lot of fiscal oversight. They do have a lot of requirements for compliance with state, federal, and local laws. They ensure accountability. That's another big one, too. So they also do a lot of community. They're really one with the community. So.
I'm sorry, I just took medicine. So. Any follow-up to that? Okay. After review and discussion on significant issues, the board operates by a majority vote. When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you manage the situation and potential criticism of your position?
Well, sometimes you have to take a step back and to see what the majority, hopefully they've expressed their position on that, and you'd have to take a step back on that situation and maybe recalculate something you missed. Not everything everybody's going to agree on, and that not necessarily is a bad thing, but maybe there was a question or a point that I would have missed if I was the board member, obviously in this particular situation, that I needed to take a look back and reflect and see what other people had said and had maybe better expertise in that particular area than I do. So often people, I think, as far as board members concerned, and people are very genuine in what they want to do for the board, and they're genuine in their answers and decisions. And they look to do the best. Any particular person that's elected looks to do their best for what the knowledge they have on hand. Sometimes a majority vote may go over and it might be a mistake, but then you just step back and you look at what you did miss, and then you hopefully reassess the situation, whatever it was.
Thank you. Any follow-up on that? Okay. At times, you will be caught between legitimately opposing points of view, and there may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you are required to uphold as a board member. How will you handle this?
Well, my personal point of view, and the policy or law that I required to uphold as a board member, it needs to be set aside. You know, if the law is the law, I mean, I work within the realm of the law as it is as an educator and underneath the Michigan compiled laws. So you have to follow them first and foremost. My opinion may not matter in those particular cases. You know, it's a structured system. We have to stay within those structured systems and policies. So that's kind of, you know, I don't think my personal point of view would really necessarily be of value because it's pretty, you know, we got to stay within the lanes. So.
Any follow-up? Hearing none. What do you perceive as the district's strengths and weaknesses?
Well, I perceive a lot in the strengths area because, you know, I worked in the school district. My wife works in the school district. My kids go to the district. I volunteer for the district. I've been here since, you know, give or take 99, in some shape, form, or fashion. I've coached in the district. I've worked on special needs in the district. So I think there's a lot of strengths in the district or people that like us, many people standing here on the board wouldn't volunteer if we didn't have a love and passion for the area and the community and the kids involved. Weaknesses, I don't know necessarily that I have the vision of what a board member would have for all the different weaknesses. You know, I do understand schools after having 26 years of being in schools. All schools have some weaknesses of sorts, and it could be a growth. Years ago, we had a lot of growth, and sometimes when you grow really fast, you have weaknesses, and sometimes that otherwise comes too. Often there's fiscal responsibility, and you have to pay certain bills at a certain time, and that may not cover other areas as well. So weaknesses really kind of they edge and they flow is really what happens with weaknesses. And the board's job in that particular case is to have the knowledge of it and the direction and to look at those weaknesses and do the best that they can with the available resources that they have on hand.
Thank you. Any follow-up? Okay. Identify a recent board decision that you felt strongly about and describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs, parental rights, state and federal law, staff considerations, and your personal values and beliefs to determine how to vote on the issue.
Well, I think I was at the board meeting a couple of board meetings ago, and I think Mr. Powers had pointed out with the, I want to say it was the 451, 403B money. I don't have my digits right on that. That
33.
31A. Thank you so much. 31A. My apologies. 31A money. And that there was a little bit of debate on that particular decision. And really, I thought the debate was very healthy, but I think the board had outlined specifically what they wanted to do and how they wanted to see, because there was some clauses, if I remember correctly, there was 4 clauses within that particular language. And the district had set policy, your board here had set policy on what you wanted to happen with that particular monies and as it unfolded, because it was still kind of in the unfolding phase, if I remember right, at the state. So I thought that it was a good look at the students' needs, the parents' needs, the states, and then how to stay in our lane. You know, like where was this going to go? And because no one kind of knew at the time when it hit the table. So I thought my personal beliefs were that the board was spot on as you checked your boxes as you move through that particular process.
Okay, thank you. Any follow-up to that? All right, Dr. Berkmeyer?
Has anyone from Anchor Bay or MISD leadership encouraged or asked you to apply for the board position?
No.
Mr. Richards?
Have you been involved or attended any events within the Anchor Bay School District within the last year? If so, can you give me some examples? I know. Don't do it. Not a jerk.
I've got a laundry list of, yeah, I have. I've given, so Davies at the high school, so I go to his dances and participate in some events there, football games, which I love. I was part of the opening class of employees that opened the high school. So I really enjoy the football field. We opened it back in the day, and it's tremendous. And I go like to take David to the games. And of course, as some of you may know, I do run the Anchor Bay Fishing Club, and we usually have about a bi-monthly meeting of about anywhere from 35 to 50 kids at one of the buildings or an outing of sorts. So I do all those types of things. I think we did some Boy Scouts. We did AYSO at one of the events where I'm on the AYSO board as well. And we had some of our people that showed up for the Great Oaks Fall Festival, which is one of the ones I enjoy as well. So I try to be actively involved in many of the Anchor Bay activities, when we can fit them in and take my boys to them.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions over here? All right, hearing none. Thank you for your time, Mr. Elliott. Again, we'll probably not be voting tonight, but January 28th, and we appreciate you coming out.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate your time. And I thank you, everyone on the board, for essentially volunteering to do the jobs that you do for the school district. So I do appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I think we are. Hello, Mr. Braun. Thanks for coming tonight. Oh, did he take the questions? Okay, that's fine. We are not live streaming tonight, so the other candidates do not have an unfair advantage. It is not anticipated that there will be a vote tonight, but you never know. Definitely January 28th. We'll get started with the questions. You also have them in front of you if you'd like to read along. Do you live in the Anchor Bay School District?
I do.
All right. Are you a registered voter?
I am.
All right. Why are you interested in serving on the school board?
Well, so grew up in Anchor Bay School District, graduated from Anchor Bay. My kids, 2 of my 3 kids graduated from Anchor Bay, and I still have one in the district. It's just kind of a part of me to be involved in community. Community is a big part of who I am. I spent the last 9 years as the band booster president at Anchor Bay, retired from that. So, but the biggest thing is really, I always say, I want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem, right? So, I think that with my business experience and just life experience, I've got a lot of time working with the district, people in the district. I know a lot of parents, and I think I have a good feel for what the community expects from the district. So I just want to be a part of it.
Okay, thank you. Any follow-up? I do. If you retired from boosters, where do they have their fires at now?
Great question.
Not your house anymore?
Not my house. Yes.
Okay. I always heard about those for years and years and years.
Great
Okay.
question.
Describe in your own words the role of a school board member.
Yeah. So I think it's much like being on the band booster board, right? So I think a school board member represents the community members in Anchor Bay. Big thing is advocating for the students, making sure that, we're holding our admin accountable for things that, the decisions that they make. But also just being that, like, all right, so the community, they have wants, needs, expectations from the school district, right? So how do we get those wants, needs, expectations to turn into something real in real life? And I think that's what the school board kind of does. So I think that's the biggest role of the school board.
Okay. Any follow-up? All right. After review and discussion on significant issues, the board operates by a majority vote. When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you manage the situation and potential criticism of your position?
So how would I mean, look, you're on the school board, you're now a public figure, right? So, that's a tricky question because you have to be able to support the board's decision, right? Even though it may not be your opinion. I mean, I guess I would do do the same things that I've done all the years as booster president, right? Like you have to, you have to be able to go back to the community members and explain why the board got to that position, right? So even though it may not be my opinion, I still have to be able to support. I mean, like the board's the board, right? So you got to support that decision, whatever it is, and just be able to go back and explain why the decision was made. I think that's.
Okay, I believe Mr. Vendatelli has a follow-up question. No? Okay, then I will say your follow-up question. In many cases, decisions that we make here are shrouded in confidentiality, and there's things where we may have 5,000 people upset or not understanding, not necessarily upset, but not understanding, and we cannot tell them why a decision was made. So that's where that criticism piece comes in, is because sometimes you sit here and you can't answer why.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where that comes from. You had asked that earlier, so I thought you would ask it again.
No, I think with that question, it's a question of like, if you're put in that circumstance, would you be able to maintain confidentiality?
Yes.
Oh, I got you.
Okay,
Yeah,
so yeah.
absolutely. Certainly. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's not a problem. Yes.
And I'd like to kind of cater that too. There might be circumstances where people are objectively lying about your intentions, about the actions that you're taking, about your integrity. And you could clear the record if you just broach the confidentiality, and you cannot do this. Are you comfortable with that circumstance?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
You do have like 7 people you can confide in, and that's about it.
Right. Right.
So, okay. After review, I'm sorry. At times you will be caught between legitimately opposing points of view, and there may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you are required to uphold as a board member. How will you handle this?
I mean, that literally just comes down to integrity. So you got a job to do, and I mean, yeah, you have to do what's right. You have to do what the law says, what the policy says. And again, this goes back to what I kind of said earlier, but if the policy, I mean, you're now a part of making policy, right? So, yeah, that policy's policy. Yep.
All right.
Follow the rules.
Thank you. Any follow-up? What do you perceive as the district's strengths and weaknesses?
So obviously moved my family back to Anchor Bay District for when my kids became school age. So I think there's a lot of strengths in the district. Some of my favorite things that I like, is the opportunities that the district provides for kids. On the sports side of things, on the art side of things, on the academic side. I mean, there's a lot of different things that I think this district does a lot better than others. And so that's the biggest strength, I think, is the opportunities that the kids get at Anchor Bay. I think some of the weaknesses, honestly, is really communication to the public on different issues. I mean, you hear it all the time. Why did they do this, or what? Even on at the school levels, right? Like kids maybe getting in trouble at school, and the parents aren't being informed for a couple days before that kind of a thing happens. So I think that most of what most people in the district would consider weaknesses at Anchor Bay are probably communication based and could be solved with and I think it's getting better. I think over the years it's gotten tremendously better, actually, but I still think there's some room to grow there.
Okay, thank you. Any follow-up? Identify a recent board decision that you felt strongly about and describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs, parental rights, state and federal law, staff considerations, and your personal values and beliefs to determine how to vote on the issue.
A recent board decision that I felt strongly about. Well, I'll tell you the cell phone policy thing, right? That's one thing that you guys made a decision on pretty recent. And I think that that is just such a touchy subject, right now. But I've had so many conversations with people in our community about that. And, you know, it's kind of fun because you get to hear everybody's opinion on it, right? And at the end of the day, you know, I support the decision of the board. But I just, you know, I had concerns with that too. Like, you know, how are you gonna police this new rule? But yeah, I mean, you know, I've talked to a lot of people about that one. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we're, you know, halfway through the school year now, and I think it was the right decision. If I had to vote on it, probably when you guys did, I may have voted a different way. But again, like I said, the board, you know, you make a decision as a board, and then it's your responsibility to be able to support that decision to the public, right? And that's kind of what, even because I was at that board meeting, right? And a lot of people, a lot of parents, band parents mostly, because I know a ton of band parents, right? They talked about it and they were, you know, concerned. How am I gonna tell Johnny to get on the bus? I'm not picking him up or whatever. And, you know, there's, you know, so we just kind of talked through that kind of stuff.
Okay, thank you. Any follow-up to that? All right, Dr. Berkmeyer?
Did anyone from Anchor Bay or MISD leadership encourage or ask you to apply for the board?
No.
Mr. Richards?
Have you been involved or attended any events within the Anchor Bay School District within the last year? If so, can you give me some examples?
Any events? Oh, man.
Yeah, any,
Yeah.
yes, any events,
Yes.
yeah.
I think it's really good.
Yeah, you heard about our band yet?
Most of them. No, I've been to lots of events, many football games, many band concerts, band festivals. I was just there last week for the Taste Fest event that was going on. Basketball games, and I mean, yeah, I come to a lot of stuff at Anchor Bay. Yep.
Okay.
Very involved. I try to be.
Do we have any additional follow-up questions? Hearing none. Mr. Braun, thank you for your time this evening. Again, we're not anticipating a vote. Maybe, definitely January 28th.
Okay.
All right, appreciate you
Thank you.
coming out. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Hi.
Cover?
Yes, covert. Yep,
All
like
right.
covert operations.
Hi. Okay, thank you. You are our last of 15 interviews. I'm gonna try and keep it upbeat, okay?
Absolutely.
All right. So we are not live streaming. It doesn't matter now, but the other candidates would have had an advantage. It's not, we are recording though. It is not anticipated that there will be a vote tonight. Definitely January 28th, possibly tonight, who knows? We're gonna start with the questions. You also have them in front of you if you'd like to read along. Do you live in the Anchor Bay School District?
I do, yeah. Living on Highview Street in New Baltimore, and I've lived in the district my whole life.
All right. Are you a registered voter?
I am, yes.
Okay. Why are you interested in serving on the school board?
Yeah, so I got a couple calls in the last few weeks, you know, saying, hey, there's going to be this vacancy on the school board, and weren't really sure what kind of response they were going to get. I recently just left the New Baltimore City Council, so I've been there for the last 8 years. I know how tough it is to sometimes get folks to step up for this. So I do have a record of community service, of serving in the community. And I think I have the skill set that could be an asset to the board if that's something that they're looking for. I provided my resume and letter of interest outlining some of those experiences. You know, I think serving for the last 8 years on the city council, I always tried to be someone that could be a consensus builder, that could work together in a setting like this. And it was only, you know, till November. So I figured throw my hat in the ring, try and do some good, put my skills to use, and put myself, you know, at your consideration, I guess.
Okay, thank you. Any follow-up? Okay. Describe in your own words the role of a school board member.
I mean, I think the primary responsibility is not unlike what you would find in a lot of other, you know, governmental settings, just like city council. I think that you're there to provide oversight over the administration. I think you're there to remove stumbling blocks, to provide resources to educators, to students. You're there to be, a representative for the community, and to try and make decisions on their behalf, because ultimately, you guys are responsible for educating their kids, right? So, obviously you manage the budget, which is critical. I know you guys have a big bond issue that just came out, and that's a complex topic. And so that's something that you got to figure out how you're gonna spend, how you're gonna manage it. So I think those are some of the functions of the board.
Follow-up question for Mr. Powers?
Yeah, Mr. Colbert, you mentioned administrative oversight. That's something that's very important. Do you, in your role as a city council member, was that something that you were comfortable doing, challenging administration, holding them accountable, even if it was uncomfortable, making sure that you were doing everything that you felt needed to be done to properly administer oversight and hold administration accountable?
Yeah. No, well, you're right. It is definitely uncomfortable. It's not something that comes naturally to most people. Most people don't like that kind of confrontation, but there's certainly a way to do it. I think when I was on council, I always tried to be respectful in the way that I did that, but be thoughtful and as you said, not be afraid of being uncomfortable or being unpopular when you have to do it. You're ultimately there. That's your responsibility. And I certainly took that seriously on council, and I would on school board as well.
Any additional? Okay. After review and discussion on significant issues, the board operates by a majority vote. When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you manage the situation and potential criticism of your position?
Well, I think even on council, I always tried to be a team player, right? It's no secret that when you are in a public office like this, you are rarely going to get your way, right? You better be prepared to be disappointed a lot. So if you come into these positions expecting that your will is going to be it, you're going to be, sorely mistaken. So I've stood by consensus decisions in the past that we made in the city that I didn't always love. It wasn't exactly what I wanted, but it was what we could get the votes to do. And I think that you do need people in these positions who not only are comfortable with that, but appreciate that about the process, that it is about the collective. Not to say that you don't have your own ideas, you don't have your own policies, positions that you put forward. And you try and do that, and you succeed where you can, and you accept that you're not always going to succeed. So I'm very comfortable with that. Very familiar with disappointment.
Do we have any follow-up to that? No. At times, you will be caught between legitimately opposing points of view. And there may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you are required to uphold as a board member. How will you handle this?
Well, I think that piggybacks well off the previous question. Obviously, when you're on a board like this, you're going to have access to legal counsel, which is a very important opinion to take into consideration. You're not there to pick fights. If they tell you that something's going to be a problem, you should take that seriously, and I certainly understand that. Same at the administrative level. You put them in that position to do that job. You should take their advice seriously. So again, you can come in with your own position, but it's about what you can get people behind. What is your team telling you? So those are all things that you have to consider, and that's kind of how I always approach the role on city council as well.
Any follow-up? Okay. What do you perceive as the district's strengths and weaknesses?
District strengths and weaknesses. Well, I think weaknesses often in the case of government is probably in communication, participation, engagement. Obviously, we had similar issues at the city level, so that's always going to be a problem. I tried to be proactive, not just when I would go out and run and try and explain issues to people and engage with them one-on-one, but as well as online. I'm sure that that's something that you all do as well. I did put forward a few proposals to improve communication in New Baltimore. Again, wasn't successful, but again, doesn't stop you from trying. So in this position, I would look for ways in which that could be improved and to try and do my part to support that.
I have a follow-up.
Mr. Vendatelli?
When you mentioned that you've put forward a couple of proposals in New
Mhm.
Baltimore to improve communication, you referring to your time as a city council member?
Yes, yes.
And would you mind elaborating what were those proposals?
Yeah. So the biggest thing I wanted to do was to basically have a city smartphone app, something that would help engage with people, how they engage currently. Nobody goes and sits down at a desktop anymore and types, cityofnewbaltimore.org. So one of the proposals that I put forward was through a system called See Click Fix, which would basically enable that direct interface with the city. People could submit problems and issues, and they could track in real time progress to resolution, what kind of response they were getting, what you were doing, and how it was being done. It would create a public ticket so that everybody knew how the city was responding to problems. That I proposed that, I think, right before we were going into COVID, and it was one of those things that it was like, that's a great idea. We'll put it off to the side. We'll get to it later, and never got to it later. I was never able to get the support for it. So again, in a position like this, you look for the tools that are out there. You try and get support for it. And you try and implement it, obviously within reason, right? If costs are a legitimate concern, if you don't have the resources to do it, then you find another way. But that was something that I was passionate about because it was something that I consistently heard from people. Everyone's the city's telling you how great everything is going and we're on top of things, but there's no public accountability or tracking. We also needed it to improve those systems, to be able to communicate with residents directly in the event of an emergency or something like that. I thought was a blind spot for us.
Okay, any additional follow-up? All right. Identify a recent board decision that you felt strongly about and describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs, parental rights, state and federal law, staff considerations, and your personal values and beliefs to determine how to vote on the issue.
Well, I think that the biggest thing I alluded to earlier was obviously the bond issue. I'm sure you guys heard a lot about that. There was a lot of buzz in the community about it. As I said, being in a similar position on city council prior, I understand that that's a difficult and complex decision. So I'm not one of those people that, it's a big deal, right? But wasn't angry about it or anything like that. I try not to be so worked up about stuff like that. But I respect the decision and the fact that you kind of laid all of this out. Community concerns, student needs, parental rights, those are all things that you guys all took into consideration when you made that decision. And I know that that's just one decision of many that you're asked to make. So that's something that I'm very comfortable, a setting I'm very comfortable working within.
Any follow-up questions to that? All right, Dr. Birkmeyer? Maybe.
Has anybody from Anchor Bay or MISD leadership encouraged or asked you to run for this seat?
The community members that I got calls for, people that I know from New Baltimore.
Mr. Richards?
Have you been involved or attended any events within the Anchor Bay School District within the last year? If so, can you give me some examples?
I've been involved with, probably not, but trying to think of any events that I attended in the last year, maybe a game or something like that. But I haven't volunteered at anything or anything.
Thank you.
Do we have any additional questions, Mr. Powers?
Just a quick resume question. Between your 2 terms on the city council and your current work with the SIU, would it be correct in assuming that you have some extensive experience negotiating bargaining unit contracts, labor contracts?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
do? Okay.
Part of my core function, I'm sorry, did I cut you off? Sorry.
No, that's
Okay, sorry. I jumped right at it. Yeah, part of my responsibility is obviously grievance handling. I have been on the bargaining committee for at least one of our contracts, and will be for more when they come up. So yes, very familiar with how that process works. Obviously, on city council also had to ratify similar agreements for our unionized staff.
All right, we have no further questions. Mr. Covert, thank you for coming out tonight. And again, we probably won't vote tonight, but definitely January 28th. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Excuse me, make a motion to amend the agenda. I get more dyslexic the more tired I get. I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda to vote for a preferred candidate to serve as Board of Education trustee to fill the current vacant position at this time. So I believe how this works is we vote majority, 4 out of 7. In this case, I think it's still 4 out of 7.
2/3 because the agenda was already.
Okay, so we vote 2/3 to approve the motion to amend the agenda. And if that is approved, then I can make a motion of what I just described. So first, we're voting to amend the agenda.
Okay.
Well, first you need a second before. we get
Right.
there.
That's, of course. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion to amend the agenda to add a vote for trustee. Do we have a second? We do not have support for that motion.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Mr. Vendatelli. I guess we'll move on to board comments. Dr. Berkemeyer? Berkemeyer? I don't know what that is.
We can keep having discussion.
Oh, we can.
Okay, that's it.
The board for discussion.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have nothing in front of me here.
the next steps.
Candidates.
Okay, we will open it up for discussion of the candidates. Anyone?
I mean, me personally, we went through a lot tonight. Yeah, I'm still kind of reading my notes. I would like to maybe just, I'm not sure if we're able to at least narrow down the search.
I guess if you're asking regarding like how to move forward, my own thoughts would be, if you wanted to narrow down the search, you probably need a motion. Well, first, like before, you'd have to amend the agenda to do that and need a 2/3 vote, and then you can make a motion to like potentially narrow it down, like with a certain number of candidates, if that's what you're looking to do.
Is that something the board would like to do? Narrow down candidates this evening? Because we do have to vote by January 28th because we have to have a trustee in place by February 2nd, or else the state will appoint one.
Yes. Yeah, I think narrowing it down, we could probably limit it to 3 to maybe 5 candidates of who we all can concur would be good. And then decide what we're going to do from there.
Okay. Well, I mean, this is just an idea off the top of my head, but if we could all potentially start, I know limiting to 1 is pretty limiting, but if everybody has like 1 candidate that they wanted, to like remain in, and then if someone felt really strongly, or you could potentially go down the list of names, and people could more or less verbally give approval if that, they would like to see that move on. And kind of in a discussion form, like you can kind of speak up when the name is read.
Sure.
That's just an idea. I'm just.
No,
I
understand that. I guess
this without it being.
Yep, no, I get what you're saying. I guess my only opposition to, naming one favorite is that's essentially taking your vote, right? And I know that I'm not prepared to go from 17 to 1 on the spot. So, I've got 4 candidates that I would like to give consideration to. But that's about
right. We can
as much as I can funnel this thing down in one night
for right now.
From 17 to 4.
So I think we can go through the list, tabulate who who has the most, points
Or
for
even just
consideration.
support, you can
Yeah.
just speak up if you have support, if you want to support this candidate moving on or.
And rather than read off all the candidates and, yeah, I think wouldn't it just be easier just to go around and have us all give you our top 3 or 4?
Sure, we can do that. Fine. Yeah.
I'm
No, I
respectful of people who put themselves out there
Yeah.
and apply, we are incredibly blessed that 17 people. I mean, I remember you and I talking at the start of this, we were like, are we going to get 2 and even have a choice?
can we
Right,
Right?
yeah.
Who can say?
So I want to be respectful of the fact that it takes a lot to put yourself out there and even apply for this. And I don't want to read off names and then have people hear silence after their name. Like, I just don't think that's fair. And not that I'm accusing anybody of wanting to do that, but I think it'd be more appropriate just to, look,
Sure.
we're tasked with making these difficult decisions. We should have no problem putting names to who we
Sure.
plan to support.
Okay. We need to amend the agenda.
So I would make a motion to amend the agenda to trim the candidate pool from 17 to 4 candidates with the expectation that when we meet next week for our regularly scheduled board meeting, we will make a decision to appoint Mr. Green's replacement.
I'll second.
Okay. Can you read the roll?
Discussion technically if anybody has questions or issues, but
I can.
Okay, good.
All right. So we have a motion by Mr. Powers,
And supported by Mr. Vendatelli.
okay, to narrow it down from 17 to 4. All right, Mr. Powers?
does anybody have discussion before we?
I'm sorry.
I just want to make sure that because
No, I think we were fine with that.
we make motions, we second it, we have discussion, we have a vote. So I just want to make sure we didn't skip over the discussion that anybody wants to have. I didn't hear that opportunity. So,
So I guess the only question I have is at the next meeting, which is the 28th,
right.
We will vote on the 4 candidates that we've narrowed this list down to.
That would be my expectation. Again, technically, we have a little bit beyond, if we get to the 28th and we're gridlocked and, we do have an opportunity to call one more special meeting to
Yeah.
conduct this business ourselves before it gets outsourced to the MISD, which I don't think we should want any part of, nothing against the MISD, but I think it's a decision we should want to make. So that's the motion.
Any other discussion? All right.
Good.
Mr. Powers?
Yes.
Mr. Vinatieri?
Yes.
Mr. Sunnyberger?
Yes.
Ms. Berkmeyer?
Yes.
Richards, yes. Ms. Knox?
Yes.
All right, motion passes.
Okay, we will call, everyone have time to go through their. Okay, yeah.
I just need a couple minutes.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're just gonna take a pause here. Do you have yours ready?
Please, you guys.
Mr. Sonnyberger, do you have yours ready? Okay, Mr. Vendatelli? Okay, well, while Mr. Richards is getting his in order, we will start with you, Mr. Powers.
So my 4 candidates to, I guess, move through to the final round, for lack of a better word, would be Ryan Covert, Laren Wentworth, Charles Penzine, Tom Braun.
Mr. Vendatelli.
My 4 candidates in alphabetical order would be Sean Bagan, Ann Berglund, Darian Fortier, and Laren Wentworth.
Dr. Berkmeyer.
My 4 would be Mr. Bagan, Mr. Romano, Mr. Penzian, and Mr. Braun.
Mr. Richards, are you ready?
1 minute.
Okay. Mr. Sonnyberger.
Still listening.
Okay.
All right, I'm ready.
All right, go for it.
My four, not in alphabetical order. Tom Braun, Brian Covert, Darian Fortier, and Brian Romano.
Mr. Sonnyberger, are you participating in this portion?
Not to put it, or thank
Okay. And my four are in no particular order because I just pulled them out. Marcone, Romano, Wentworth, and Covert. Let me tabulate these.
If someone else wants to double check, I can tell you what I
Perfect.
tabulated.
Okay, I'm gonna go through and tabulate mine and then we'll compare it with Dr. Berkmeyer's and make sure that we have the exact same thing. Give me one moment.
But just for discussion purposes too, I guess, for Mr. Sonnyberger purposes, is he allowed to give his four to Ms. Knox?
When?
That's my question.
We are a body that operates in open session. So if you're asking, does he get to? If you're asking, does he get the opportunity to do his in secret? That answer is absolutely not.
No.
Right. So I just want to make sure Mr. Sonnyberger understands that too. So
You'd have to ask him what he understands.
Yeah. This is his only opportunity to put forth any names to be considered.
I'm fully aware of the situation. Thank you very much for asking.
okay.
Ms. Berkmeyer, I have four candidates, each with three. Yes? Yep. Okay. So the rest either had two or less. So our four candidates that will be voted on January 28th, in no particular order: Romano, Covert, Wentworth, and Braun. And they were all equally weighted, which is nice. Okay. Does that, oh, I have to. Are we done? No, that's it. Okay. All right, now we can move on to board comments. Yes? All right. Dr. Berkmeyer?
So first and foremost, I mean, we had 17 applicants, 15 interviewed this evening. So thank you to all of those people. I think we are a fortunate community to be in this situation. While it's obviously tedious to go through this process, and as for the candidates as well, I appreciate everybody's time and dedication and wanting to be a part, truly. You know, I really, I I don't want to make this sound like it was taken lightly. And while we did kind of narrow down candidates, you know, for me, it is difficult to come to, it would be difficult to come to one decision this evening because everybody is bringing, you know, some different yet great things to the table, whether it be, you know, lifelong involvement, lifelong residency, including activities with, you know, themselves, their children, activities that they put on for the district, for the community. So there's just a lot, and then personal experiences as well that can just bring another another voice to the table. So I don't want to dismiss anybody that came tonight as, you know, less than, you know, whether they're the four being considered still or not, because like I said, I think we're truly fortunate to have this list of candidates, and I think that everybody that came tonight seemed extremely genuine and wanting the best for the Anchor Bay School District and our community as a whole. So I just want to say thank you to everybody and to the board for that. And thank you to Jill, because I'll be honest, I truly did not think that we could manage this by this hour. So you, both you guys. All right. All right. Mr. Richards.
I'd like to echo Ms. Birkmeyer's comments. It's great to see, you know, the passion for the Anchor Bay School District. We have a lot of different projects going on, and it's great to see the community come out. Mr. Powers mentioned it, you know, that we were surprised to get, you know, over 2 or 3. So it's great to see the number of candidates we had tonight. You know, it's got to be some of the hardest decisions that I've made, you know, on the board is tonight. You know, one of the things that I didn't think I'd have to do, you know, when I ran for school board was trying to track down another school board nominee. I just hope that, you know, if another board position does open up, that we do have, you know, some of these candidates either, you know, run during the election time or, you know, reapply as well. You know, once again, hard decision. I want to thank everyone that, you know, did show up tonight. And, you know, I think it's great to add that young gentleman that is, you know, Anchor Bay senior. Sorry.
Kansky.
Thank you. You know, it's great to see that type of involvement at a young age. I think the last thing I would want to do, be a senior in high school, is come in front of the school board. That's just me, you know. But you know, I think it's great to see, you know, that type of you know, student here to you know, that wants to participate and make our, you know, district successful. So thank you.
Mr. Sonneberger.
I do thank everybody that's shown up in front of us today. The only thing I do want to say is we did absolutely have the right to go into closed session to discuss these candidates. And I might have wanted to explore that a little more. Thank you.
To respond to that, we're simply not allowed. We are not permitted to go into closed session to discuss them. Everything has to be done publicly.
To discuss. To discuss employment.
I was just gonna say, so you can go into. You can, with a 2/3 majority, go into a closed session to discuss the application of a candidate or resume of a candidate, to discuss their resume. You cannot deliberate, you cannot discuss, you cannot do exactly what we just did in open forum, in closed forum. You could discuss the 4 corners of the document, in this case, their resume, if you wanted to go into closed session to do that with a 2/3 vote.
So follow-up question with that. So if we're discussing their resume, but we're not allowed to deliberate, I guess what exactly would we be able to explore about their resume, if not as how it would apply as a board member for this board?
According to this, should be reviewing the application materials.
So just to check the box, I guess, to see if they had a resume, what their grammar and spelling was like. So, okay.
But as far as deliberation, no. Mr. Powers.
You can go into closed session for many things. You are not required to. I can't speak for other people, but the people who voted to put me in this seat expect extra transparency from their school district and their school board. So for me, there's no other option other than to do it in open forum. So the public has access to what we do, what we say, how we do it, and why we did it. I would like to just thank everybody who put their name forward for consideration. Like we talked before, we never thought in a million years we'd get 17 people, and it's very refreshing to see that there's that many people willing to step up. It's not an easy thing. Just to put your name forward and come before a board for an interview is not an easy thing to do. And you know, the unfortunate reality is there's one seat open, which means, you know, we're telling 16 people no. But I think Mr. Richards mentioned it. There were certainly people that I'm hoping to see on ballots in the future, whether they get this appointment or not. There's a lot of talent that wants to step up and help out our school district, and that's a good thing. And then finally, I would just like to for the four of you who kind of had the courage to put your name to the candidates that you thought were worthy of moving through to the next step of the process, thank you for doing that. Everything we do up here isn't fun, isn't easy, doesn't come without you know, the potential criticism or blowback, but that doesn't change the important job we have to do. And so the fact that the four of you didn't take the easy way out, I just want to publicly thank you for that, because it means a lot to the process, and it means a lot to me. Good night.
Mr. Vendatelli.
Thank you, Ms. Knox. No, I'd like to echo a lot of what the other board members have said. Thank you to all those who came up and put yourself out there for public questioning. I know it's very difficult to do so. I myself, I recall when I first came up and spoke to the board, my wife told me that she thought the YouTube video had went double speed because I was so nervous I talked over myself. And it takes time. I guess I'm still kind of learning how to calm myself down in public forum, but whatever, who cares? You know, you just kind of do your best and get yourself out there, and if you let the chips fall where they may. But regardless, for those who put yourself out there, who want to volunteer for the community, we definitely appreciate that. Thank you to all the board members. I think every single one on this board asked a number of very thoughtful questions. I think we all each contributed a significant portion to try to screen the candidates, because at the end of the day, we're really just trying to look for someone who's qualified, who is dedicated to supporting the district, for students, teachers, parents, and trying to help this institution thrive in this current environment. I'd also like to thank Mr. Green, who we saw him for a period of time here, actually showed up to watch the interviews. He was very involved, to say the least, with this school board, and he gave a tremendous amount of his time and effort to the district for with the best visibility. And so I think we'll talk more about this in the next meeting, but I think, you know, we all owe Mr. Green a debt of gratitude for his service.
Okay. My comments, I appreciate Mr. Green's service to our district and the community at large. He's involved in so many different ways, and it was unfortunate that he was needed to step down for personal reasons. I do want to make it clear that next week, or I'm sorry, the 28th, we have our organizational meeting, and we will also be voting on our new trustee. I will be out of town for that meeting. I am comfortable with the board choosing from one of these four candidates. I will support and cheer on whoever you guys choose. I think we had a lot of remarkable candidates, and like the rest of the board has said, I really hope we get out there and we have some, you know, good election and have some strong races, because we have a lot of strong candidates. As I said in the organizational meeting, we'll be voting on positions. And while I cannot nominate a slate because I will not be at that meeting, I do want to make my fellow board members aware of a slate for consideration that I would like to throw out there so you guys can think about it, since I won't be here. Just don't let me come back and be president, please. I have a feeling that they might do that. And we're like, oh, sorry. So, my slate that I would like you guys to consider would be Mr. Richards for president, keep me as vice president, Mr. Powers as secretary, Mr. Vendatali to continue as treasurer, and then trustees would be Sonny Berger, Burkmeyer, and the new guy. So if you guys can think about that, that would be great. I just don't, while I don't mind doing this part of the job of president, I don't know that I can commit to the behind the scenes stuff. There's a lot of meetings with the superintendent and things like that. So if that was a lesser time commitment, what do you got, Mr. Richards?
I wrote no one. No, I just want to say thank you for that. And Ms. Burkmeyer and I were just having a little sidebar conversation. That would be a great gift, I think, if you did come back and we did elect you as president as well, but we'll see where the voting goes.
I wouldn't be completely opposed, but I really don't think I have the time to commit. I'm not sure Mr. Richards has the time either, but see, this is what happens when you start doing a bunch of your hobbies, volunteering for stuff. You end up doing too much.
Thank you.
So, but that is my slate for consideration. And yeah, that's about it. Do we have any other issues to discuss?
Just Todd, can you please see to it that everybody's notified timely, all the candidates with regards to what played out here tonight and
Yes.
what's happening from here?
It would be desirable to have those four obviously here or around on the 28th.
But not the intention like that they're gonna be re-interviewed or anything. The next round.
Oh, no, I'm thinking you guys just go home, let it marinate. Yeah. That there'll be a decision on the 28th, but no subsequent interview or follow-up. And then they can be sworn in if they're here and come and have a seat.
Yes, we'll make all the candidates aware.
Okay. Perfect. Do I have what do you got?
One last thing. So with regards to the next meeting,
Mhm.
I would like to see, maybe I'm wrong on this, I'd like to hear what the board has to say, but if we make the agenda, the first agenda item that we can to approve the next trustee and allow them to join us on the board, we can either do that or have it at the last item. I'm not sure what the pleasure of the board is, but I'd like to just put that out there and I guess, see what everyone thinks.
I'm not opposed to the person who gets voted on joining. I don't know if they legally can because they have to file a piece of paper in the state.
Right,
Forget about that. Yeah.
right.
They remember that.
Just can't vote.
Yeah, they can sit up here. They just can't
Or they're
participate. Right. Yeah. And that's to consider.
Yeah,
Anything
go
else?
ahead. Thank
That
you.
was it? All right. Do I have a motion to close this? Come on, guys, I can't make motions anymore. You guys speak up.
I'll make the motion.
All right, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Enjoy.